Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have guest Bishop James Long. He is an exorcist of the Old Catholic Church. You might have seen him in, I believe it was Ghost Adventurers, the Bobby Mackey episode. He's a paranormal, what did he call it? Paranormal bishop, basically. He's out there trying to help people that are demonically possessed. It's a serious undertaking, and I'm interested. I think he's the first actual exorcist I've had on the show, so it'll be a very interesting conversation. And we also have open phone lines later, and we can ask Bishop James Long questions. Do you think you're demonically possessed? Do you believe in demonic possession? Myself, I am not Christian, but I definitely believe in something demonic forces, whatever. My shadow person experience, some people could classify as demonic, and I totally understand if you do. There are definitely evil, dark things out there, and I do believe they try to possess people. So I'm right on board for this conversation tonight. And of course, we got the World Wide Web of weird, and we have plenty of weird to get to. So let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Bishop James Long, will be on with us after the World Wide Web of Weird. So if you're here for that, just wait. We got some weird stuff to do, talk about. We're gonna get into the Area 51 thing. We'll get to that soon. But I got my lovely co-host with me, Jamie D. Let me see. I'm back at the home studio for anybody interested to know. I've been doing the show for the last few weeks at my parents' dining room table. Thank you to Mom and Dad for letting me do that because I had a flooded basement. But we're back home. It's nice to be home. How you doing, Jamie?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Doing good. I'm excited to do the show. I'm excited next week. We're going to do ITC. night since we had a guest reschedule. We haven't done that in a long time, so I'm excited for that. And we might be we're definitely gonna do. There's a new service called StreamYard. Check it out. It's a streaming service where it'll let me take the YouTube chat room comments and throw them up on the screen. We got Super Chat for anybody watching tonight on YouTube. We do have the Super Chat feature. By using that, you do help support the show. And you can also support us on Patreon. But enough shameless plugs. Let's get to our other co-host, Rob Autry from St. Augustine, Florida. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Doing pretty good, sick again, but that's just
my God.
life for me.
Yeah, I know. For me, it's just sinuses. Like, I got that tickle in my throat. I hadn't had it all day. And I told Jamie, like, for the last half hour after I got off the phone with our guest tonight doing a sound check, I'm like, I'm getting the damn tickle in my throat.
Yep.
Right now, it's like the sinus strain just decided, I haven't bothered you all day. Now's the time.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it now.
Yep. Speaking of now, are you ready to roll the World Wide Web of Weird?
Yep.
All right, let's roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, let's just go ahead and get right on into it. We have to just get it out of the way. Everybody wants to storm Area 51 now. Oh, yes. Speaking on that subject, my good friend Heather Wade, her and Art Bell came up with that idea. And I'm talking to Heather. I think she still plans on doing that Area 51 trip. But she's not announcing her day. Wrong button. I am rusty coming back home. For those listening on our Paranormal Soup radio network, you can watch the show on Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup's Facebook page or our YouTube channel under Paranormal Soup. There I am. Wow, I am really rusty with the buttons here. There we go. We got share screen for people listening, so we do show some videos and pictures. We do have a couple UFO videos. But speaking of UFOs, first article comes from a website or news place I don't really care for, but I went with them anyways. So Huffington Post. Feds warn alien seekers not to try their luck at Area 51. More than 500,000 people now, after this article, I think it's up to 1 million, Facebook users have signed up to storm Area 51 to see them aliens. This is why I don't like Huffington Post. At the U.S. Air Force Base in southern Nevada, that's long been shrouded in mystery for those who believe it's a holding site for otherworldly creatures. They get so condescending in this article, I'm not going to read it. I mean, I think everybody knows and heard, who was it that posted this? It started with somebody started a event page for this called Storm Area 51. They can't stop all of us. It's garnered nearly 670,000 records. I think, like I said, it's up to 1 million. The purported raid is set for September 20th between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. And as I mentioned, my friend Heather Wade, she's coming back, by the way, next Saturday. Her normal show time isn't Saturday, but she's coming back next Saturday, July 20th, by the way, Kingdom of Nye, Return of the Kingdom of Nye with Heather Wade. Check it out, 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. Eastern or Central Time. Yeah, Central Time. Eastern would be midnight to 4 a.m. But, I'm so happy for that. I have been talking to Heather, helping her get guests, and it's so good to see her return. But she wanted to do this, remember? And I think she still plans doing it. I sent her this article, and we talked a little bit about it. She still wants to. But she's not going to announce the date, because you know what? They're going to roadblock the heck out of this. Miles out. They are. I don't think anybody believes that 1 million people are going to show up. I don't really think 100,000 will, but we'll see. I thought about this years ago. Enough people get mad, and there's enough craziness going on in the UFO world. People will storm. Lo and behold, it wasn't any major UFO event or sighting that I think has got people all rustled up. I think it's the Bob Lazar interview on Joe Rogan. I think it got those millennials going, Bob Lazar? What's Bob Lazar? Like, we've known, people in ufology have known about Bob Lazar and that whole deal for a long time. Well, pay attention to the documentary, guys. The UFOs aren't at Area 51. They're at, the SR1. I forgot. I guess I wasn't paying attention all these years. I've listened to interviews, but they're not actually at Area 51. You know what's at Area 51? A lot of nuclear waste. Wear your radioactive suits. That's what they're really been hiding there. Now, I do think there's alien technology and stuff our government's doing, but they've had a plan in place a long time in case of a scenario like this, and they probably moved a lot of stuff out of Area 51 now that it's gained all this attention years ago. So, welcome to the party, millennials. All right, let's move on to number 2. This comes from 12news.com, and this is UFO footage. An Arizona man and his friend were bewildered by a series of strange lights that they spotted in the skies over Tucson near Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, if I got that right. One of the witnesses, Isaiah Alvarez, managed to capture some weird sighting on film and subsequently posted to social media, where it eventually caught the attention of a local TV station. In the video, a bright ball of light can be seen hovering in the sky. You'll see it. Rob's showing it now. It's like a orange light here. You can see. It could have been a firecracker. One of his friends replies, "No, it's not. It's a spacecraft." Unfortunately, Alvarez's video apparently does not fully capture the moment for posterity, as he described the sighting as consisting of a series of 3 red lights. You only see the one. But the, you know, the 3 red lights, was it shaped like a triangle is what I want to know. I'm guessing so. Let's see, where was I at? Although one might suspect that the UFO site might have something to do with nearby Air Force Base, a spokesperson from the facility said that they had no connection to the event. Other possibilities put forward by skeptical observers are some kind of drone. You know, that's always what you have to wonder. I don't know, a flare maybe, I thought. Chinese lantern. You know, there's a lot of things because it's an orange light in the sky. I don't know. It'd been interesting. Too bad he didn't get all 3 of the lights together. But the thing that he saw 3 and then there was just 1 by the time he got his camera out makes me think Chinese lantern or flare is what I wonder. But let's move on. Number 2, and this one's from Mysterious Universe. According to the YouTube channel Hidden Underbelly 2.0, who shared the video, the footage was taken by pilot Mike Wagner as he was flying over the Grand Canyon in a broad daylight. It shows 2 white reflective objects flying in tandem beneath the plane over the canyon. The objects have no discernible features, but could be seen as having a similar shape to the Tic Tac UFO seen by the USS Nimitz in 2004, which has been the center of ongoing saga of military relationships to the UFOs. But then again, a lot of things look like a white Tic Tac when they're seen from far away, blurred from the large footage, blah, blah, blah. And of course, that's how they cover it. But go ahead and play this footage. I want to look at this here. One explanation I thought of here. Let's watch. You're going to see, for people listening, we're seeing like the beautiful, picturesque, what is it, Rocky Mountains here? No, not Rocky Mountains. Yeah. Oh, no, Grand Canyon. Sorry, not Rocky Mountains. Grand Canyon. Beautiful. And then these white, like, streaks come flying by. Here they come. It's hard to see on the share screen, so people go check this out at Hidden Underbelly. Yeah, you really don't see it on here. It's too bright. Wish there was a way to darken it. I don't know. Maybe the audience sees it better than I am, but you can barely see it. But if you go watch the video, you see the 2 white streaks kind of go by, but I don't know if that's a reflection of something inside the cockpit on the window, is what I'm wondering. It could possibly be. Just possibly. All right, from UFOs, we're going to go to Mars, but not a UFO, not a plane. It was a bird. NASA's Curiosity rover may have captured a flying bird on Mars, according to UFO conspiracy theorist Scott C. Waring. In one of a series of images taken by Curiosity on June 24th, 2019, an anomalous object appears in the sky above Martian landscape. This flying bird on Mars was found by Marcelio Irazusta, who actually found a bird flying across the surface of Mars, captured last week by the Curiosity rover. Waring wrote on his blog noting about shot may have been taken by accident. He also suggested it could be a UFO. Well, you know, one of this leads me to the conspiracy theory that the rover's not even on Mars, and this is at some, you know, place on Earth, and they're faking it. Which I've seen the videos and stuff people pointed out, and it makes you wonder when you see a bird. I have my doubts about a flying bird on Mars, but that looks like something flying up in the air. It looks like a bird to me.
It's at Area 51, man.
Yeah, that's probably where they're shooting. People are going to walk in, and then people are like, hey, humans spotted on rover. Wait, no, that's like 100,000 humans invading Area 51, but I thought that was Mars.
It's the Mars landscape.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the people that say that it's not real, that the rover is just shooting in some unknown location, this is more cherries in their pudding. I don't know what you want to call it. I mean, this is definitely more evidence. You know, I mean, it looks like a bird. I mean, what else could it be? I mean, a speck of something that got on the camera? I don't know. Yeah, zoom in on that, and you see like the wings, or is it a UFO?
The daggum pterodactyl, man.
Or a drone, a UFO drone, an alien drone. I don't know, but it looks like something flying up the skies. Like I said, there's so many rock formation pictures on Mars, and like it looks like this, and there's some amazing stuff. But the stuff that always interests me is when rover gets something up in the sky. When it captures something up in the sky like that, I'm in. I'm interested. I want to know what that is, and of course, NASA's quiet about it.
I'm almost feeling like it's a speck on the lens, maybe.
Maybe, but it almost looks like it's got some shading and light to it. Like it's got something there. I don't know. It's of course blurry. Even the rover takes bad UFO bird alien pictures.
Exactly. They got some crappy cell phone.
How much money did we spend on that dang thing? And I'm going to get this kind of picture. I want the UFOs to look crystal clear and the alien birds to be crystal clear for how much money we spent on that rover. My taxpayers' money demands it. But it looks like something. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's just some kind of speck on it, but it could be just a speck on lens. But it'd be interesting to see the whole footage. Like did it just appear, or was it a still shot? I'm not familiar with how that live stream works or whatever with the rover. But more context, I guess, more than just this one shot. Inquiring minds really want to know. It definitely gives me credence to because I've seen the rodents or something like that, rodent or whatever. They said, well, that's native to this area where they say they're actually filming. I forgot where it was, but somewhere in New Zealand or somewhere they're filming the fake Mars territory or something. I don't know. Let's move on. All right. Now on to classic footage. I almost wanted to cover this last week. We had a good cryptozoology show, but I was kind of waiting to get more on it and see. This is the 4K footage. If you haven't seen this, the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot film, we're going to play a little bit of that. It is incredible. I want to point out something. It probably won't come out as credible here because we're share screening it, but man, when you watch the new 4K footage, it's stabilized. You can see the muscles in the legs move. It's crazy how footage that was shot in 1967, that we've digitally analyzed it and we pulled it out. It's still the best footage we have. Still the best footage we have. I mean, I have never seen any other Bigfoot video come close or evidence come close to this. And I understand the detractors. We talked about this with Jason Offit, and that they were out there filming for Bigfoot, and then they have to find Bigfoot. It's God's sick joke, but it really, I just don't think they had anything like that in 1967. I don't know. It could be some real naked guy, and they just stapled a bunch of hair to his legs or glued a bunch of hair to his legs. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. It looks like real leg definition.
That look back right there. Like, yo, what you looking at, dog?
Bigfoot.
Or he could have
Mind your
some
business.
some sort of leotard on.
It could have, they could have put
way
a bunch of hair on it. He'd be a big guy. I mean, look at him. You just can tell it's big. I would think it'd be a big guy in that. Boy, he'd be hot if that was fake.
He strides like a person, though. The way he walks.
It's a boob.
Kind of
it's not a
stride.
he. It's a she. You can see the boobs.
Yeah.
Oh.
Get the gender right, Jamie.
Them some Bigfoot boobies.
Might be a transgender Bigfoot, Jamie. Come on
Might
now.
be.
Just because he has hair. Okay, let's move on. All right, where was I? Okay, yeah. Independent.co.uk. This is like one of those worst fears. Is dead man narrowly avoids being buried alive. A man in India who was thought to have died following an accident turned out to be very much alive. Now, I know I've had stories like this before, but I always cover them because it covers like one of my worst fears. 20-year-old Mohammed Furqan? I think I said Furqan, maybe, who was rushed to hospital on June 21st, was later declared dead after doctors reported that he had been unable to save his life. Not long afterwards, however, just as Furqan was about to be buried at his funeral, some of the mourners noticed that, to their surprise, his body appeared to be moving. Devastated, we were preparing for the burial when some of us saw movement in his limbs, said brother Mohammed Irfan. I know I'm butchering it. Sorry, guys. We immediately took Furqan to the Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital, where the doctor said he was alive and had put him on a ventilator for some life support. It later transpired that doctors at the private hospital had originally declared him deceased after the family had run out of money to pay for treatment. Oh, yeah, he's dead. Oh, you're out of money? Oh, yeah, he's dead.
Oh, he's dead.
You should take that body.
Good.
A full investigation incident now is ongoing. We have taken cognizance of the incident in the matter and will be thoroughly probed. Lucknow Chief Medical Officer Naranda. I'm not going to be trying to say his name. But yeah, man, I mean, imagine being that family at that funeral. They're ready to
Imagine
bury
being that
him.
guy.
You know, obviously he was barely alive because he pretty much looked like a corpse to make it that far. Luckily, they don't embalm. I guess they don't embalm. You know, I mean, that would have been real bad. That would have been real bad. Let's move on. Let's move on to the last one. Thought this one would be pretty good for the show tonight since we're having Bishop James Long on, an exorcist, because this is about an exorcist who's performing an exorcism on an entire city from helicopter. This sort of totally reminds me of like, what's that old show, WKRP, whatever, they throw the flying birds out the window. Should have done an exorcism. A Catholic bishop in Colombia is going to new heights in efforts to perform an exorcism. He plans to spray holy water over the entire city from helicopter, according to reports. Monsignor Ruben Dario Harmilio Montoya, Bishop of Buenaventura, will use a Navy chopper to spread the holy water Sunday in hopes of ridding the city of demons that he believes are responsible for violence, crime, and corruption there. We want to go around the whole Buenaventura from air and pour holy water onto it and see if this will exorcise all those demons that are destroying our port, he told the local radio station. So God's blessing comes and gets rid of all the wickedness that is in our streets, said Montoya, who was ordained in 2017 by Pope Francis. We have to get rid of the devil to see if we can return the tranquility to the city that has lost with so many crimes, acts of corruption, so much evil, and drug trafficking, he continued. It'll be a great public demonstration for the entire community where we'll pour holy water to see if so many bad things and the devil goes out of there. Buenaventura, I'm sure I'm butchering it, sorry, in South America, nation, biggest Pacific seaport, also holds a feast for its patrons on Saints' Day. 2014, a Human Rights Watch report named Buenaventura the country's most dangerous place, saying the criminal gangs and activity in the many cities, neighborhoods where they dismember people and dump them in the sea. I mean, we've had a lot of South America. They seem that, I've seen all the articles that say the Catholic Church is looking for more exorcists in South America. That the rise of demonic possession in South America is, happening. And how many of those crazy school things happen in South America? There's at least a few of those in World Wide Web of Weird. Maybe this bishop's got a point. I don't know. Will it help? I can, just dumping a bunch of holy water people. I mean, I don't think there's enough holy water to help places like Chicago, or I mean, I just don't. I don't think he's gonna have enough holy water to jump on everybody there. But I don't know. Maybe
The whole state of Florida.
Yeah, no, Florida. There is no war. They need to go bless the ocean and then just let the tidal wave come in.
Several containers of common sense.
Oh my God. Yeah, I get what this, it seems like something that would be done like in a movie, like possessions happening and the guy gets the holy water in hell. I just can't believe somebody's actually doing it. Like, they really think that it's going to be able to cure people, the demonic possession. I think they got a lot more problems there than demonic possession, but maybe it is. Maybe there is a root. I mean, think about all the World Wide Web of Weird shows we've done. And there are some school in South America. I got to go back and look, see if there was any in this city, of these schools that having these mass hysteria, demonic possession cases, and all these kids flying around like they're possessed. I mean, you have to wonder.
I'm just picturing a bunch of people melting like the Wicked Witch.
Yeah.
I'm melting. Maybe. I mean, I'm interested. It said Sunday, so it had to happen today because this article just came out. So I wonder what happened. I'd be curious if anybody felt any effects of the holy water, or everybody just thought it was raining. I'm not trying to be cynical. I mean, I guess I am. I'm being facetious, but obviously this guy feels that things have gone to such pot there, so bad that they need a exorcism by holy water. I mean, is he going to be riding up in the helicopter, doing an exorcism as they dump the water?
Holding the He
Might
took
seem like-
matters into his own hands.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think about this. I mean, demonic. I believe it. I believe in it. I'm not a Christian, but I believe in it, and I believe in the possibility of what it can do and how bad it can get. I mean, if it was having some effect, you're riding up in a helicopter. Demons affect electronics. I might not want to be up in the helicopter. You start pissing off some demons, get some gremlins
Good
up there.
point.
I mean, I don't know.
Hey, 2 small planes crashed in the same city here, and yeah, I mean it is Florida, but yeah.
But back to the very first article, the Area 51. I didn't mention either. If I had all the ability to go, like I didn't have family responsibility, I would be tempted to go, knowing that most likely nobody's going to get anywhere near that place. But it might be a good time. It might be a real bad time. If somebody tries to run it,
Yeah.
don't try to run past the armed guards if they're. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because you're gonna get. You'd be lucky if the least thing they do to you is tase you. I doubt that's gonna happen. I mean, I also know there's electromagnetic and sound they can use on people to disperse crowds. I'm waiting to see if that stuff kind of gets used. But we got to September to wait, and you just if you're not doing it by surprise, they're waiting for you. They have a contingency plan for these kind of things, and I'm sure they'll be waiting for you. I mean, now the government's basically made a statement. It's like, don't try it. But people are. But it's all because I swear the Bob Lazar Netflix documentary and the Joe Rogan show with Bob Lazar. It's like waking up all these kids to the Bob Lazar. I even had kids at my work make comment. I mean, you seen that Bob Lazar thing? I'm like, yeah. I've known about that for years, but okay. But I think the Joe Rogan. Well, I think the Joe Rogan interview with Bob Lazar was better than the documentary. Sorry. That documentary had that guy talking the whole time during it, like, I don't know, with a really deep voice, like, don't know about this, blah, blah, blah. And I know just blabbering on about some stuff. I don't know. I was like, let's get to the Bob Lazar stuff. I don't need to hear whoever this guy's talking. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Our guest tonight is Bishop James Long. I got through it too quick, so I'm blabbering on. I'm so sorry. But our guest, Bishop James Long, we're talking about demonic possession, exorcism. It's something before my shadow person experience, I didn't know if I totally believed it. It scared me. Exorcist was definitely my most scariest movie for me to watch. But after my shadow person experience, I definitely became a believer that there are evil forces out there trying to possess people, because that's what I felt was happening to me. It's real. And if it's happening to you, call in later in the show. Tell us about it. Talk to Bishop James Long and get his advice. All right, guys, we'll be back after this short commercial break.
You were brought here for one purpose: necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field. Join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova, who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe, 5x5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Bishop James Long. Bishop Long was born in Louisville, Kentucky, and was raised Roman Catholic. He attended Roman Catholic grade school and was during that time, while he was attending kindergarten, that he knew that he had a calling to serve as a priest. Wow, that is young. His mother had asked him what he wanted to be when he grew up, and James pointed at the priest and said, "I want to do what he does." From then on, his calling to serve as a priest grew stronger as the years progressed until he decided to join the seminary and begin his formation. James attended St. Menard College, but because of financial problems, the school had to close its doors. Therefore, he transferred to Loyola University in Chicago and graduated. He continued his priestly studies by joining the St. Mary of Lakes in Moldine, Illinois. It was during this time that James began working closely with his spiritual director, and through prayer, he decided that God was calling him to serve as a priest within the independent Catholic Church. Because of his theological differences with the Roman Catholic Church, James felt that it was better to be ordained within the independent Catholic Church. The decision was not an easy one, and his This was a decision that he made out of respect to the Roman Catholic Church and his calling. And his calling, I believe, is exorcism and helping people. And I believe this is my first guest that is doing the true Catholic exorcism. So it'll be interesting to learn more about that. Like everybody else, I've seen The Exorcist. It is, to me, the scariest movie out of all of them. It's the only movie that really scared me, the idea of possession. And later on in my life, I would find out really what that might be like if my shadow person experience was demonic. Maybe Bishop James will tell me it is tonight. I've had other people say it is. I don't know. But have you had an experience with something you believe is demonic? Tonight's the night for you to call in. The phone lines will be open after the second commercial break, and I'll give those lines out then. But let's go ahead and get to our guest. Are you there with me, Bishop John?
I am.
Thank you for joining me tonight. Now, I gave a little brief bio, but I'd love to hear how, you got the calling so young. What was it? Do you remember what was it in you that I want to be a priest?
Yeah, I just knew that. I remember this. Like, it's odd. I can't remember what I did yesterday, but I remember what I did when I was 5 years old, because I'll never forget it. I just had a very strong desire, and not really even desire. It was almost as a matter of fact. It's like I knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't know why. I really didn't even know what it meant at 5 years old. But I knew that's where I needed to be. It was just without question.
So 5 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut, or I wanted to be an archaeologist a little bit later, I think, when I got into Indiana Jones. But, you shoot far, so I'm sure your mom was like, oh, yeah, sure, honey, you'll be a priest.
Well, I grew up, in a Roman Catholic home, and we went to Mass every single Sunday. And it was, after Mass, we even went to the bakery. It was just a very typical Roman Catholic family. And my mom knew, and she was proud. She was very proud to have a son going to the seminary and studying for priesthood. That meant a lot to her. So I just, like I said, I knew at a very early age. Again, I didn't know why. It was a matter of fact. It's like, well, of course, this is what I'm going to do. Hello, it was just without question.
So, this has been a part of you for all your life, and tell me, what is the difference between the traditional Catholic Church and the independent Catholic Church?
Right. Well, the Roman Catholic Church, we all know, but the old Catholic Church, where I come from, actually branched off from the Roman Catholic Church, really starting in the 1870s. And if you want to get into a big historical, I'll just simply say, here's a nutshell what happened. Pope Leo XIII gave the church in Utrecht, which is Netherlands, complete autonomy, meaning that they could consecrate their bishops, because the Pope couldn't go back and forth. It just simply was not feasible financially. And they gave them complete autonomy. And the Utrecht was doing very well financially. They were growing just leaps and bounds. And financially, they were a very strong community. And then the next Pope came in. He said, well, we're just going to, take we'll
take a little bit of that. Yep.
And the Utrecht said, no. We have autonomy. Pope Leo XIII gave us this autonomy. And so that really is where it kind of started. And then, of course, the Roman Catholic Church said, well, these bishops are heretics. So we'll just discredit the bishops by calling them heretics, even though those bishops went to Rome. They actually defended themselves. But basically over papal infallibility. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The church in Utrecht said, no, there's no man that's infallible. You're not going to go back to this point where the Pope had complete power, both secular and theological. And so they said, no, we're not going in that direction. And that's really when the church split on, the papal.
Are there some major theological differences between the two? Or?
Well, there's a few. Within the old Catholic Church, each bishop has their own jurisdiction. So within, especially, certainly in the United States, you might have some old Catholics that are ultra liberal. Just really off the wall liberal. You might have some that are ultra conservative. And then you have other jurisdictions that are moderate. So it really does depend on the archbishop, the jurisdiction in which they serve. Because, there are some old Catholics that will not ordain women. I mean, that's not even, that's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, that's not the Catholic Church now. I mean, the traditional still hasn't happened yet.
The Roman Catholics, but with the United States Old Catholic Church, we do ordain women.
Really? Was this?
Yeah. So there's.
What drew you to it?
Sorry?
I should say. What drew you to that? To leave the traditional Roman Catholic Church to join them?
Well, I think it was just, there were a lot of things that I saw that I didn't like, and that's really with any church denomination. When you have people involved, they've got to, But I think for me, I want to be able to minister to every single person who comes to me, regardless of their sexual orientation, or with their gender, or even their religious beliefs. I'm here to help and serve people. And I don't care if you're Catholic. I don't care if you're Buddhist. I don't care if you're agnostic. If you come to me and say, Bishop, I need your help, it is my job as a servant to help and serve.
I like that a lot. I really do, because I never understood that. I think there's not all Roman Catholic priests abide by that rule. I think they do reach out and try to help. I've met some really amazing ones, but the whole idea that you're not allowed to help somebody if they're not Roman Catholic, that's just how are you supposed to spread the word of God if you're not helping people?
Yeah, and I think also, when I started a long time ago, it was amazing. The aggressiveness, oh my God, the attacks, the public attacks that I was getting, only because I was Catholic and I was old Catholic and I was welcoming to everybody. And well, you're not really Catholic. And then I have to explain to them, well, obviously you have never read Dominus Jesus, where, Pope Benedict, Pope John Paul had actually ratified an article stating that any church that has apostolic succession is validly Catholic, period. And so I can show my apostolic succession all the way to Peter. I have a 123-page document that shows my apostolic succession. So it's kind of like, people don't know that, but, one should learn history.
I guess that's my doorway into what probably the main topic tonight is exorcism, because I am definitely ignorant. You're going to teach me a lot tonight, I'm sure, on it. But what I thought I understood exorcism, that you have to get some kind of, you have to have what would you call it, the power basically given to you by the church to do it, and without that it's not a true exorcism.
It has to be sanctioned by the church,
right.
Which is if I have an exorcism, and we have to explain the difference between, there's a solemn rite and there's a minor rite of exorcism. There's also deliverance. So there is a variety when you're talking about prayer. But when you're talking about this sacred rite, the solemn rite of exorcism, in which an exorcism is performed on an individual that is validly possessed, the extensive background research that we do prior to even considering an exorcism must be done, and it must be documented. And then, of course, the church has to sanction that exorcism. So we have the Council of Bishops, and the Council of Bishops, well, basically, we provide the information. Here's the information, and the council will decide whether or not the church will sanction, and that's how it should be.
So, the steps, this is very dangerous ground. When you get into, I'm sure, exorcism, because you're, involving. I guess you tie down somebody, don't you? It seems what I know about exorcism, people can get kind of violent and or real violent. And you have to tie them down. That right there seems like a legal nightmare, if things go wrong.
And then you have people playing exorcist who have no idea what they're doing.
Oh, God.
And then they illegally restrain someone without their permission, and that is a felony.
Right,
and
that's what I'm getting at.
It's absurd that people will just tie someone down, and yet there's no release for them. So, but there's a lot of that going on in the paranormal. Look, when I started, I was the only one. I was the only one in the paranormal. I was the first. I can proudly say that. And I know that for a fact because I was involved in every single paranormal group and every single Yahoo group. Back then, we didn't have MySpace. We didn't have Facebook. We communicated, the paranormal community communicated through Yahoo groups. And so I know who was involved and who was not involved.
Right.
And so I was the very first Catholic clergy to go forward and public with ministry to helping the paranormal. Now it seems every team has an exorcist, which is concerning.
I would say it's, for me, I've always said I'm a paranormal investigator. I do residential cases. If I run across something that I feel is demonic, which I haven't, except for my own personal experience, I'm going to try to help direct that person to somebody who knows what they're doing to get them help. I am not touching that with a 10-foot pole, a 100-foot pole, because for me, I'll admit to you, I'm an agnostic. So I'm not an atheist. I'm a spiritual agnostic. I believe in God. I had a really deep. I was 17 when I first encountered it, and it harassed me when I was 18 years old. What I call a shadow person experience, which some people would call demonic. And it went on for 4 months. This thing tormented me. I don't know if it was trying to possess me or try to make me do something horrible or horrible to myself. But it ended with me basically going, God, help me, And I believe God stepped in. And I saw somebody that appeared to be a great-grandfather of mine, actually, and saved me from this thing. And I never had a problem with it again, except for maybe a couple times of seeing it. But this thing, levitated me. It picked me up off my bed 3 times and threw me down 3 times. So when people are like, oh, that stuff's not real, the exorcist's not real, people don't levitate, I'm like, yes, they do. I know they do, because it happened to me. I don't know I'm still not willing to accept it was demonic. I'm sure you might probably tell me it's demonic. But for me, I'm a true believer in the possibility of it.
Well, let me just say this to you, and for all those people, all those naysayers, and I've been dealing with them for years.
I bet.
I have a doctorate in ministry. I have a master's of divinity, a master's of business, a master's of education, a bachelor's of communication and journalism, as well as psychology, and a associate's of philosophy. How much are you paying me for this interview?
Nothing.
Exactly. For 20 years, I've been doing this, and I've received not one dime. So if I did not know that exorcism existed, I'd be doing something else with my time.
Yeah, why waste your time? Why would you waste your time with something you did not believe in?
But not only that, but there's nothing to gain from it. There's no financial gain from it. In all the videos and TVs and documentaries I've done, I've received no compensation.
And you're not taking money from people to do the exorcism,
No, God, no. No, the only thing that I will do is I have 4 courses online that people can take. And I have chosen, as a Benedictine monk, I have taken a vow of poverty, and I have chosen to use that money to go to homeless camps, pass out food and clothing and tents, and help single moms who just got an abusive relationship. Now, I can pocket that money because it's my work. I have a right to do that. However, I have chosen so that nothing I have done in all these years can ever be said that Bishop Long has done this for a dime. No one can ever say that.
Yeah, I couldn't see him making a lot of money off of it, but I do know there's people that do. I had somebody contact me once on Facebook Messenger saying, my house has been haunted and all this, and I contacted this psychic, and they wanted $400 to remotely exorcise my home. I'm like, oh my God, you're really messaging me that? I'm like, you should know. I shouldn't have to tell you. Yeah, no, that's a scam, But yeah, that's what people do. People do try to scam people, but you're not out there doing that. You're not getting a dime for doing it. If somebody comes to you for help, you're going to help them, and no money exchange. I
spend my own money going to these people. So, but that's the way it should be, and I do it because number one, it's pastoral. It's the right thing to do it, and number two, I will never fall into the temptation of greed. And I don't allow myself to fall into that temptation because I've taken that vow of poverty. And I mean, when I've taken that vow of poverty, I have embraced it. And so I just do not allow any type of temptation to come into my life. I just simply can't. Life is not easy. It's very, very difficult. Matter of fact, I have a dog who's 14 years old.
I saw your posts. Yeah.
And she's in her and tomorrow she has an appointment, and I don't know if that'll be the last day I see her.
I feel your pain. I have a dog that's 16 years old, and we're worried that she's getting towards the end of her life. It's a hard thing.
It's very, very, very difficult. Yeah, but my faith tells me that although I will eventually have to make that difficult decision, my faith tells me that I will see her in a greater glory than what she is in now. And so that gives me peace.
All dogs
knowing
go to
that
heaven?
one day, listen, absolutely. If Kylie is not in heaven, I don't want to go.
Right. Exactly. That's what I've always said. I was like, if our pets aren't there, then it's just not going to be it's not going to be heaven.
No.
It wouldn't be
No,
heaven.
absolutely agree with you 100%. So I will absolutely see her, and you will see your 16-year-old dog as well. It just in a greater glory and happiness and joy that you've never seen them before. So that is my faith, and that is what I believe.
Now, how did you get involved in exorcism? Where you became a priest and a bishop. I mean, but what led you down the path of becoming an exorcist? It's not for every bishop or priest.
No, it's a calling. Listen, at 9 years old, I remember back in the day, in the library, they had microfiche, and they had the card catalogs, and
Oh, I remember.
I'm older. And there was no computer. You didn't look it up. And the old card catalog days. And I just remember at 9 years old, I picked up my first book in demonology, and I didn't want to put it down. And I could not stop reading about it. And I didn't understand it. Just as I didn't understand at 5 years old why I wanted to be a priest, I just knew. But at 9 years old, I'll never forget. I picked up that book, and it was like a light bulb went off. And it was like, okay, this is where I need to be. This is the path. And so I haven't stopped reading. I mean, I read constantly, as much as I can, on demonology and angelology and not so much the paranormal studies, but exorcisms. Anything that I can read on the topic, I do. Now, there are a lot of nonsense out there, but I still want to read the perception, especially from different faiths. Different religions and their perspective on exorcisms. I think that's, for me, it's enlightening, and it kind of gives me, I think, a better vocabulary in talking about other faiths and their religious views and how they, deem possession and exorcism.
I remember from the Malachi Martin interviews with Art Bell, him talking about a lot of the traditional Catholic priests that didn't believe in demonic possession. It even sounded like they didn't even believe in demons. I'm like, well, what religion are they part of? Is that something within the old Catholic Church as well? You have some bishops that don't believe in it?
Sure, absolutely. And I think a lot of time people are afraid of what they don't necessarily understand. And I think they're also just simply afraid. There's a theological belief of universal salvation, where everybody, no matter what gets, go to heaven, and there is no hell. It just simply doesn't exist.
Right.
And so, I think when you finally accept the fact that demonic possession does exist, then it also forces you to realize that so does hell.
I've always looked at that philosophical debate. Eventually, everybody goes to heaven. Well, eventually, you might have to go through hell first to get there. There might be demons there, tormenting you for a while before you get to go there. Because I'm sorry, I don't think Adolf Hitler, I want to spend time with him in heaven.
Well, my prayer for every single person who walks the face of this earth is that they convert. They see the error of their ways, and they ask for forgiveness. That's my prayer for everyone. Because you're dealing with Adolf Hitler, and I'm not justifying it. Hitler was saying that he's a good man. Certainly the things that he did was barbaric. But you also have to think about the psychological aspects of it, too. Are we dealing with an individual who had an erroneous conscience? An erroneous conscience in psychology means that everything that you see, for example, he truly believed in his heart that eradicating the Jews was a good thing. That's an erroneous conscience. In other words, you see the truth in what many people would see as wrong. So he believed that doing this is for the betterment of the German people. Now, we know that act was barbaric, but if he was psychologically damaged to the point where he could not differentiate between right and wrong, and it was completely distorted.
He was hyped up on a lot of drugs, so that's a good possibility.
He certainly was. But this was prior to him taking so many drugs by his physician.
True.
Now, again, I'm
Very
not
true.
justifying his act. I'm explaining from a psychological perspective that this person could actually be suffering from erroneous conscience.
I saw you got in trouble on Facebook. I think you put up a post or something like that, and they told me.
I actually got banned. And Facebook, unbelievable. Shame on them. Really, shame on them. I used to put polls up there because people love taking these polls. And so I made statements. And the statements was, do you believe this? Yes or no? And the statement was, Adolf Hitler was a great man and leader. Do you believe it? Yes or no? And I got banned from Facebook. So I've been in Facebook jail ever since. And I can't do Facebook Live videos, and I can't do polls. It's the most absurd, idiotic thing I have ever seen in my life. And shame on Facebook.
Well, because if they have a problem with it, they should have said, hey, we're not going to let you have this poll. That's it. But ban you.
Not only that, but they don't. And here's what's very frustrating about it: they don't give you the opportunity to fully explain in a notes section. So you go to the section to the help center, and it tells someone complained, and you click the button, and you tell it just says review
or error.
It doesn't give you the opportunity to put in the notes. No. Hey, this was a note. This was a poll question. I don't believe this. You guys are banning me, and it's wrong. They don't give that opportunity, and there's no 800 number, and there's no way to contact.
It's all AI computer, and they don't care.
Absurd! It's absolutely absurd.
It is absurd. I agree. I saw your post on that. I was like, really? Man, I could have told you they were going to do that to you. I knew it.
But it goes to show though that this should be an eye opener for everybody. That if they're going to ban an exorcist for simply posting a poll question, then that really does speak volumes on Facebook being Big Brother and allowing any type of, and I think what it was, the person just simply got upset because people actually said yes. They think he was a great leader. He was a great leader in person. And I even scratched my head and said, really? You think he was a good leader?
That should be 100% no from everyone, please. But yeah, there's always going to be some jerk be like, yeah, cool guy, Yeah. Oh well. Off topic. Sorry, people. I just saw that, and I've been getting banned from Facebook, just little Facebook jail because of advertising. Just trying to share my show. So yeah, Facebook. Them and YouTube. But anyways, getting back to demonic possession. So if somebody, what are the steps that you have to go through when somebody appears to be demonically possessed for you to know that they are demonically possessed?
Well, look, the first thing that I want to know is the medications that they're taking. We know that there are a lot of side effects, especially medications that deal with mental illness, and I want to know what exactly it is that medication they're taking. I need to speak, if possible. They sign a waiver to the doctor, and they have to have a psychological evaluation. I will not perform an exorcism on anyone without a psychological evaluation, and period, the end. And anyone who does,
should be totally irresponsible.
It is so disturbing. It really is disturbing because you perform an exorcism on someone who has dissociative identity disorder, and you create another personality, or manic schizophrenic. You put them in a manic state. If they suffer from paranoia, schizophrenia, you put them in a manic state and they can commit suicide. It is absolutely beyond irresponsible that someone would do that and then throw it on YouTube so they can get hits and likes, and so they can, collect a buck from YouTube. I'm telling you, these individuals are going to have to answer for their behavior. And I don't think God's going to think it's funny.
No, I don't think it's funny. I've known people who are schizophrenic. I've known people who have had multi-personality disorders. And dear God, to make them think they have a demon would be a horrible thing for these people's psychological conditions. But obviously people come to you, they think they have a demon. How you have a psychological, you have a psychologist analyze them. I mean, what kind of psychologist? Because a lot of psychologists might write off a lot of people who are demonically possessed as having schizophrenia or some other condition.
Yeah, we actually require psychiatrists. Psychiatry is dealing with really seriously getting to neurological issues, and I think it's difficult sometimes to be able to speak to their psychiatrist because I need to know, based on their professional opinion, if performing an exorcism could do irreversible damage to this individual's psyche. Right. Now, if the individual is not suffering from any mental illness, well, that's a different story. But if they come back and say, yeah, the person's suffering from this or this, then I need to know, look, if we do this, Now, it's possible that someone could, in fact, have a psychological issue and still be possessed. Certainly it is. And,
Oh yeah.
And of course, that's when I go into, okay, let's do the investigation. Let's find out what's going on. Because look, a psychological illness is not going to make you levitate, or it's not going to make you, say the Our Father backwards in Aramaic, or so even eyes dilating is immediately say, oh, their eyes dilated, so they're possessed. No, that could be a neurological condition. So
Epilepsy.
Absolutely, epilepsy seizures is serious stuff, and that absolutely can mimic what many people would think of what a possession might look like.
Well, even there's Dr. Barry Taft we had on, parapsychologist, believes there's a big connection between PK events and people with epilepsy. That they could even have something psychokinetic happen around them if they're in the right conditions in the right place. So there's a lot of factors I'm sure you have to take in for to find out if somebody is demonically possessed.
And keep in mind also, when we're present and when we're preparing the sacred rite, there are things that an exorcist will be doing that no one knows what he is doing. And so therefore,
Secrets of the trade kind of thing? Or
yeah, if the signs are not there, then you just simply don't just force it. If the signs are not there, the signs are not there. And they would be if you have, in fact, a true possession.
Do you get like a feeling too? Is there a feeling to it that you're like, yeah, like?
I'm very much, I'm very stoic when it comes to exorcisms and the Bishop Long, the exorcist. When I am there, the feelings and emotions can be easily manipulated by the demonic. And so for me, I check those feelings and emotions and I put them, basically away, and I'm focusing very heavily on just what I'm witnessing and seeing and can actually verify with their actions to determine whether or not we're going to continue on the solemn rite. So you got to be very careful about emotions because they can easily be manipulated by the demonic.
Well, the reason I wonder is I've run across people in my life who suddenly went through a change. And when I be around them, I just get sick, sick to my stomach. And they get really weird to me. And I've always, back in my mind, felt like there was another presence attached to them. And it just makes me wonder if is the demonic something that would make your stomach turn?
Oh, sure. Yeah, when you don't need a psychic to tell you that there's a demonic presence. If you go into an investigation and there's a true demonic infestation, you don't need anyone to tell you that there's a demonic presence. You're going to know. I mean, the smell of sulfur, the just overwhelming sensation of just sickness in the stomach, dread, severe migraines, lightheaded, or dizziness, sometimes even passing out. I mean, your body is telling you to leave, and you don't need a $10,000 FLIR camera because you walk into a place, and if it's truly demonic, that $10,000 FLIR camera is going to be absolutely useless when the battery is drained completely, and then you have a $10,000 piece of junk that you can't even use when your body was telling you, your sixth sense was telling you, get out of there. And that's the most valuable tool any investigator can possibly use, is their sixth sense.
Well, there's people that are demonically possessed. We get into tonight too is places that seem to be demonically have an infestation, I guess, or in a place like Bobby Mackey's. Is that demonic? Is that like a portal or a gateway, and are there demons, that hang around there, or how does that work?
Yeah, I've been there 3 times with the Ghost Adventures crew, and I can tell you that the experience, and I don't work for Ghost Adventures, I don't work for Bobby Mackey's, and I tell people this all the time. I'm not on their payroll, and if I don't experience anything, I'll say I didn't experience anything. I'm not going to make it up. And I will tell you that the night that I was with the Ghost Adventures, when they did the lockdown, it was without question, when I was performing the minor rite of exorcism, no doubt at all, a demonic entity was present. No question.
See, you wonder, though, you bring in the Zach Bagans crew, how much baggage they're carrying into a place. I always call it ghost contamination, or what could be attached to them. But I mean, Bobby Mackey's does appear to be like a place that would definitely have like a demonic gateway. You know, the hole in the basement and the history there. Is it for a place like that to have that kind of like that evil there? Is it acts of humans, or is it a natural thing that caused that?
I think both. I think because it feeds off that negativity of the history. But I think how many more times should we invite something into that place? I mean, it's a mind boggling. When I performed the minor rite of exorcism there, a team actually got upset with me because they showed up and they could smell the incense. They could still smell the incense that I used, and they were angry because nothing happened. And I'm thinking to myself, you're angry because you weren't attacked by demonic again. And
yeah, man, you ruined their paranormal Disneyland.
Unbelievable. That's like me going in the ocean and being upset that a great white didn't bite me.
But that's what they want. That's what they want. They want that. They want that thrill.
They want it until
it happens.
It happens.
Yep, exactly. That's why I see people like. I don't do a lot of big places. I would not to say I wouldn't love to do Bobby Mackey's. I would love to go in there and record in that, but I don't want to be demonically possessed or anything like that happen. I'm a big EVP guy. I'd like to capture some evidence. That's about my interest, but I don't do a lot of big haunted places. I do residential investigations because I try to help people living in a haunted home and try to understand it or debunk it even. But I'm not out there looking for, I don't want to find demonic. I had my shadow person experience. And speaking of that too, I hate to relate back to that, but I'm always interested when I get somebody involved in the demonic to kind of get an idea of the comparisons of my experience. The place where I encountered this thing for the first time was a place where two railroad tracks crossed, a bridge that went over another set of railroad tracks. And on that bridge, several numbers of people had died, hit by a train, including these kids had been killed out there at the time 30 years before. My feeling was about this thing is that for some reason it hung out there where all this death happened. And it's why, what's it doing just hanging out there out in the middle of the woods on train tracks? Well, a lot of people died there, and I provoked it. That's what got me in trouble.
That's the thing that's so dangerous, because once you step into a place that is alleged demonically infested, once you've taken that initial step, you've already invited it. And it's amazing to me that I hear people tell me all the time. They say, well, I surround myself with white light. Well, it doesn't work that way. You have invited this thing to make itself known. You can't have it both ways. You can't say I'm surrounding myself with white light, but yet I'm going to go in there and nothing's going to happen.
Or I love this one. Use my energy. And I have my friends that do it. And I'm like, that's not a good idea. Because I've never say that. I never say use my energy. I try never to ever let myself say that, because I know that it has to be, because I provoked this thing. I said, come get me, The game got me, what you be very careful what you say to anything when you go on a paranormal investigation or on these ghost hunts. I definitely recommend people don't say use my energy.
I don't know why someone would say that in the
people do though. Place. Good people, the people that I don't believe they're stupid. They just they want to get the evidence. They want to have that experience, and they see the TV shows and you hear people say it, and then it comes out their mouth because they want something to happen, and then something happens, or they get followed home, and then they're surprised.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah, and it might kill me eventually, because I am a curious person, but I do avoid saying that, because like I said, I don't want ever anything, especially being a father now with kids in the house, anything to follow me home like it did when I was 17 or 18.
The fact, once you make the invitation, and I've said this before in lectures when I do paranormal conventions, and I tell people, you can pound your chest and show your muscles and say, come on, demon, I dare you to do something. And the demon is not going to dance on the
come at me, bro.
For you. No, that's the most. No, they're not. The demon is looking right at you, and the demon is saying, I will come at you when you're sick, and when you're lonely, and when you lose your job, and when your wife leaves you. When all these things happen, that's when I will provoke back.
That, you gave me chills, because my shadow person experience ended when I was 18, but it came back one time. When did it come back? When I was my first year of marriage, super stressed out, and I was really sick with the flu, and I lived in a haunted house, but I knew it was it. I knew it, and it even showed its face to me for the first time. And it was in this room we would stay out of because this place was really haunted. But I knew it was that. I knew it because it was the same feeling and everything. And it came at me when I was like 103 fever. Yeah, maybe I was hallucinating, but I really felt its presence. It was the same thing that attacked me, and it came after me when I was really weak.
And of course, you understand that possession occurs after the intellect and will has been eradicated by the individual. So in other words, it will make you think you're crazy, and it will isolate you, and it will keep breaking you down, your will, and to the point you can't fight anymore. You're just simply too weak. Remember, these are parasites.
That's exactly what I compare it to. Oh, no, that's perfect. I've been comparing it to that for years. That what I felt was, very parasitic. It fed off my fear. It fed off my anxiety.
And they attack when you're vulnerable. And that's because they are parasites, and they are bullies, and they are cowards. They're going to attack when you're vulnerable, not when you're strong, and you're strong in your faith, and you're not sick, you're not ill, you're not depressed. They're not going to attack you. When you're standing strong and you're good, they're not going to. It doesn't happen that way. They're going to attack you at the weakest point of your life. And that's what. And then because it's easier for them to break your intellect and will.
What is the ultimate goal of a demon and possession?
To hurt God.
To hurt God. I like I said, I'm agnostic. I'm not a Christian. I did go to a Catholic private school, but I mean, is it just the idea of the fallen angels that didn't want to basically serve man in a way? Or
yes, it's the idea of pure hatred towards mankind. And how do you hurt God the most? By hurting the ones he loves the most, and that's hurting us. It's the only way you hurt God.
So basically getting somebody to lose all hope in God or recognition of God or detach them from God is their goal? Or
if you think about that, the goal is to hurt us, to cause panic, to cause distress, to cause pain in our lives. That the goal is to do this to hurt God, because God loves us unconditionally. And how can you? I mean, you're a parent, so how could I hurt you the most? By hurting your children. That's going to hurt you the most.
That's why I wouldn't mess with the demonic. That's why I would not mess with the demonic. I would try to get help for somebody who has felt they're demonically possessed, but it isn't going to be me. I try to get them help, but it isn't going to be me. Because, I mean, for you, okay, so you get a call from somebody. I've heard this from people who have experienced demonic. I mean, you get a call from somebody for your help. Do you have experiences that the demons come after you, knowing that you're going to try to help? Because I've heard that as an experience from other people involved in this field.
Sure, absolutely. That's very common.
What kind of things happen?
I've heard loud bangings. I've had sleeping during an incubus case that I was working, and I had a great big mirror in the living room, and I woke up and it sounded like someone just splattered this mirror all over the place, and I woke up and there was nothing there. Bangings outside of my house, the bangings on the walls and bangings on windows, and the smelling of sulfur. And I bless my home once a week, every single week, religiously. And but there is constant. I'm under a constant stage of oppression. I understand that our clergy, we work, so we have jobs that support our ministry.
Right.
And so with my education degree, I know somebody who worked in the Department of Corrections, and they had a really high-paying job as basically a director within their education department. Very, very good-paying job. And they said, James, just be here. Just get here and show up, and you're going to get the job. And so I was excited because I could fund my ministry even more. And I went outside. I was working a very bad case. I went outside. And I had a flat tire. I thought, great. He said, you can't be late. If you're late, we have to move on to other people. So I thought, okay, I can fix it. I know how to fix a flat tire. Then I went in the back, and there was another flat tire. And then I went on the other side, another flat tire, and the other side, and the other flat tire.
So they're doing what they can to screw with you.
So AAA came, and we jacked the car up. And underneath, where the tire meets the pavement, every single tire was slashed. Exact same at 3 inches on every single wheel.
I mean, that had to be a physical human that did that, but do you think it could have been demonically directed to do that?
That absolutely was not a physical human.
No?
Because if it was a physical human, then the alarm would have went off in my car once you moved it.
Oh, so you had it alarmed.
Oh yeah. So there's no way it was human for it to have happened. And so of course I lost the job.
Oh,
but that is a part of a demonic attack where it will attack you financially, it will attack you emotionally, it will attack you with your health, it will attack you in any way that it possibly can to break you down.
Well, you hear like people believe they're cursed or by a cursed location and have this kind of bad luck. That could be attributed to some kind of demonic force giving these people bad luck like that.
Well, there was a case, the case I was talking about, the incubus case,
right.
that was done by Santeria. So that was a case, that was a curse that was placed upon this woman. And sadly enough, she was 68 years old. She wouldn't hurt a fly. She was a sweet woman. But it was her daughter, it was her, her brother's, I guess that would be her sister-in-law. It was her brother's wife that caused this drama because she just didn't like her.
So she cursed her like with Santeria?
Absolutely. And this was the most violent and most documented case. It is the most documented case in the entire world, and we are the only team in the entire world that actually has a video of an incubus actually attacking a victim.
Really?
You see the bed sheets rise about 4 feet, and this was a small woman. It rises about 4 feet, and then fall. It rises again about 4 feet, and it falls. And she would describe them as bed walkers, 10-pound bed walkers, like little dogs, and they would slowly creep towards her. They would grab her, basically, and hold her down and violate her.
Well, I again recently had Barry Taff on. He was one of the lead parapsychologists on the Hannity case. Mm-hmm. And what was that? I mean, she was held down by two little demon creatures or two little people she couldn't see really, and a big one that raped her. I mean, the whole case sounds like very similar, like an incubus. So you always wondered if somebody could have cursed that woman.
Oh, certainly. I mean, the individual that I had was actually was attacked so violently. Her private area and her anal area were ripped, and she was in intensive care when I got involved.
Oh my God! And I've had. Even though the title, a lot of people laugh at it, it's very serious, is Gavin Lee Davies on with his book, Ghost Sex, The Violation. That book, I mean, had some horrific tales in it, especially one of a woman being just like that, right in front of her son and brutally raped by an invisible force. There's lots of people that are experiencing this, more people than you would think to have this experience. That's the most terrifying thing that can happen is being raped by an invisible force. Nothing you can do to stop it. And she said she was a 68-year-old woman. How did you guys even figure out it was her sister-in-law that did this to her?
Well, because she told her. I mean, she wasn't shy. She wasn't shy about it at all. She hated this woman, and it was only because she was a very evil woman, and she didn't. The 68-year-old woman didn't approve of, I'll just call her Mary, even though it's not her. Mary did not approve of their relationship because that this, the woman who placed the curse was, she was this mean, hateful, spiteful woman. And understand, when you're talking about rape, there is actual no physical penetration. So when you're talking about incubus and succubus, so what they will do is manipulation of the body and the muscles, and it will become so violent that it will manipulate and it would rip and tear internal muscles, as well as the actual physical skin. And so when I got involved, that 68, that actually, it was her brother had contacted me along with her doctor. And her doctor actually believed in exorcism. And the doctor, even when I spoke to the doctor, said, look, I don't have a medical explanation as to why she is literally being ripped in these areas. And their bruises would appear on this woman. The doctor would physically see them appear when she's screaming. And she was actually, the doctor had her held down, tied down, because she was having bruises. They wanted to see if she was hitting herself.
Right.
So they put a camera in there and everything. And she was screaming, they're attacking me. They would run in there and they would see bruises appear on this woman's leg, exactly where she's telling them they're holding her down.
Wow. Now, the exorcism for her, was that a success? I hope.
It was. I worked with her for about 3 years, and it was intense. And I grew to love her. She was like a grandma. She wanted she just, all she wanted to do is take care of people and love people. But, you know, she did have 1 year finally of complete peace where she was no longer being violated. And then when she passed away of natural causes, the family asked me to, you know, perform her funeral. And that was quite emotional. And it was touching because that was I will tell you, that is probably the only case that I just simply could not be stoic, because she was just one of those individuals. The pain that I saw that she was enduring was just...
Well, it's a horrible thought that she only got, you know, that her last years of her life had to be so horrible.
Right. Yeah. She was struggling. She was struggling for 5 years with this. I mean, this had been going on for a long time, and you had these ridiculous people claiming to be exorcists who really took advantage of this.
So she saw somebody else before she saw you.
Oh, she was doing anything and everything she could, and there were these fake exorcists that were ripping them off because this family was begging to be helped. I mean, one person charged $2,000. And the family's like, hey, we just want help. We just want help. And as a matter of fact, when they contacted me, the first question they asked me was, okay, how much do you charge? Because we're going to have to go to the bank and get a loan. I said, get a loan for what?
Oh my God.
They could not believe. They couldn't believe it because people were just ripping about. Investigators going to her home, ripping her off, charging, and just they were desperate.
Well, that's horrible, and that's what I like. I said, I had that person that messaged me and said this person wanted $400, and that's just to begin with. I think they wanted more down the line. I'm like, really? I mean, how low can you be to scam somebody who's going through something like this, you know, and to a grandmother, you know, or an older woman, you know, to do that to them. But, you know, never underestimate the lowness people will go to, I guess. For her, when it, you know, I'm guessing, you know, you said she had her last year of her life where she didn't have any instance or she didn't feel possessed. But I mean, how much time did it take you to like truly rid her of this? Like, what was the process of that?
It was 3 years. I worked with her for 3 years, and the last year of her life, she would still experience. She could still feel the bed walkers, but they would no longer touch her. And so I was trying to even completely eradicate that, but I was just satisfied that they could no longer touch her. They could no longer violate her, and I would have I've continued to work with her, but then her health started declining, and the doctor did not think that was a good idea because they were trying to, you know, keep her strong, and they were not attacking. They were not violating her any longer. So.
Well, I believe for somebody that, you know, that's reaching the age of 68, 69 years old, an exorcism would be pretty strenuous on somebody of that age.
Sure it is. Absolutely. And you know, when you're dealing with someone not only of her age, but what she endured physically, she was exhausted. She could barely fight.
I know the 4 months I went through where I was, you know, mentally attacked by this thing. It was like every night, it felt like. It wore me down. And I was only, you know, 18 years old. You know, I can imagine what it'd do to somebody that's elderly, you know, how they could handle that. I don't know, because I wasn't getting any sleep. I'll tell you that. That was the worst part. I couldn't sleep. Even afterwards, I couldn't sleep for a long time. That's what it tried to deprive me of. I swear to just drive me insane.
Yeah, and I think that's the concerning part for me, is because I was speaking to someone who claimed to be an exorcist, and you know, they were telling me, well, there's 3 stages. It was almost as if they were lecturing. You know, they were teaching me that, you know, it was demonic infestation. You have infestation, oppression, possession, and that's what happens, and blah 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 blah. And I thought, all right, so tell me that stage again about the extraordinary forms of demonic activity, and they had no idea what I was talking about. And I thought, no, wait a minute. You're telling me that you're an exorcist, and you have no idea what the extraordinary form is. They had no idea.
What is it?
Well, there's really 2 types of categories when you're dealing with demonic activity, and there's ordinary demonic activity, and that's when a demonic will manipulate the emotions or greed, pride, envy, anger, lust. You know, it will manipulate them, and that's ordinary demonic activity. Extraordinary demonic activity is where you hear the infestation, oppression, possession, but really there's more to that than just that. when you're dealing with extraordinary demonic activity, first of all, you have demonic infestation. So the demonic has entered the building or whatever it might be, the dwelling.
Right.
And you have activity. Then you have demonic oppression. And that's when it begins the physical attacks. It's trying to break down your will. I mean, it's constant. It is a constant barrage of, I mean, it is just all the time. And then you have what's called demonic obsession. Demonic obsession is when it begins the mental attack. So demonic oppression is when it begins to attack the physical. It's breaking down the will. And demonic obsession is when it's breaking down the intellect, is making you think you're going crazy, making you think that you're isolating yourself. And then once that happens, then you have demonic possession. But you have to have the stages of demonic oppression and obsession first. See,
that gives me the chills because it makes me think about how the shadow person experience progressed for me. And it's very, those kind of stages where it kind of happened. I would get marks on me. It started, with that. I'd wake up with a mark on my face or on my arm that I didn't know where it came from. And there was noises I would hear, and then I would see it. And then it was getting me in my dreams, basically. So it was definitely trying to break me down. So yeah, that gives me the chills. Just think about how it works. There's you talk about an incubus, so I'm taking it too. There's different kinds of demons as well. They all have their different kind of bag of what they do.
They do, but ultimately the ultimate goal is to break down the intellect and will, however they do it. And so with the demonic, you have demonic, of course, you have incubus and succubus, and that's really is the defining what they are. But in the end, their nature is demonic. Their nature is evil. Every one of them, it is evil, and it is a violation of our free will. It's a violation of our rights as human beings and being created in the image of God. So a demonic, when you're dealing with an incubus, when you're dealing with succubus, it is a true violation of the individual because of the nature. Many people don't want to talk about that they have suffered from those things because it's embarrassing for a lot of people. And I get that because originally when it will start out is not as a violent act. It will start out as a pleasurable act, actually. And it will become more and more intrusive.
Well, you hear about these women on the news talking about having ghost sex and marrying ghosts. Like, might be a demon lady.
I would say, yeah. And that's people just, I don't know. They're playing these games and they think it's just a cute and it's all fun and games until one time when they say, okay, stop, no more. This is enough. You're violating my space now. You are keeping me awake. You are violating my sleep. No more. And that's when the attacks become even more violent.
Well, I want to get into more of that. I don't know if you're willing to go down the rabbit hole of how maybe aliens are involved in this, because what I've always found similar, and I have friends that are alien abductees, I totally believe them, I've had my own experiences with that, is the similarities between alien abductees and people who are being oppressed by the demonic. If you're interested in talking about that a little bit.
Sure, I love talking about anything paranormal. I'm a Bigfoot, ufology, angelology. I am a vampirism.
Vampirism, man. See, a lot of rabbit holes to go there. All right.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, guys, we're going to go to commercial break, but when we come back, I will open up the phone lines. There will be 2 ways to call in. The other 2 we got locked up tonight because we got the guest on one of them. But you'll be able to call in, ask your questions of our guest tonight, and tell us about your own experiences. If you experienced the demonic, I want to know. Bishop Long would love to know, I'm sure, too. Tell us your story. Call in tonight. And don't forget, we're on Patreon. You can help support the show. We got I'm going to be putting my shadow person experience in a podcast form. I decided it's about time I do that. And I'm going to put that on my Patreon. Only the people that pay $2 a month will get access to that podcast and the other one that's on there, Time Slips and what was Time Slips? I can't remember the name of my last podcast. It's about time slips. But all right, we will be back after the short commercial break.
We also have a question in the YouTube chat.
We'll get Rob said there's a question in the YouTube chat. We will get back to that when we come back from the commercial break. Remind me, Rob.
Okay.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS. Human.
Unknown. Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
Knights of the Road, here's your stallion. The car for freedom. The car for hot excitement. The car for a man who is alone against the elements.
The Maibatsu Thunder.
The pride is back. It's the power of a compact.
Looks small, but it's so big.
Fuel injected.
Inject me.
Maibatsu Thunder. On the toll road of life, you have to pay to prove you can. Live the emotion of an individual.
Thunder.
The awesome power of nature distilled into one vehicle. Because after you get struck by lightning, there's thunder.
The Maibatsu Thunder.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hey kids, tired of running away from home? Then getting lost and wrapping your big wheel around a cow? Then having no one to turn to other than that weirdo in the van with the dark tinted windows? Or his friend, your creepy Uncle John? Well, worry no more with new OnStar for Kids. Now you can run away in style with an OnStar for Kids kit installed in your big wheel, tricycle, or cute little smart car. Yes, just in time for Christmas, OnStar for Kids. So the next time you're on your way to Granny's house, or Weekend Dad's pathetic little bachelor pad, and you run over a homeless person in your toboggan, OnStar for Kids will clean up the mess, hide the hobo body, and get you there in time for nappies.
This is OnStar. Do you need someone to kiss your boo-boo?
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
Edgar Allan Poe wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
Headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Bishop James Long. We're talking about demonic possession, exorcisms. Call in tonight. We will have the phone lines are open now. There's two of them you can call in. There's by phone, 219-230-4444. That's 219-230-4444. There's also the Skype ID, OOJBland, OO. That's OOJBLAND, OO. Call in by Skype or by phone. Just wait till we call on you to ask your question or tell us about your demonic experience, or maybe ghostly experience. Maybe you don't know if it was demonic like me. I'm still not willing to classify it, even though it does sound eerily familiar when he talks about the stages of demonic possession, because what I went through definitely was trying to break me down. So, I'm willing to accept that it could have been something demonic. I don't know. It felt alien to me too, and that's the other thing I want to get into tonight is how do aliens relate to this? Does Bishop Long believe in the existence of extraterrestrials, and how do they play into this? I mean, we got people ready to storm Area 51 to find out if aliens exist. How do they play into this whole demonic thing, or are they demons themselves? I've heard that many a times. People talk about abductees who used the Lord's Prayer and the aliens went away. When we get into that. But call in. Tell us about your experience. We also got chat rooms on YouTube and Facebook. Get your questions to Jamie Robb. We got one right now I'm going to get ready to ask her when we come back. So just let them know you got a question. There's also Super Chat. You can do that. Help support the show, and it will definitely get your question on air. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. You still there with me, Bishop Long?
I am here.
I do have a question from somebody in the chat room. I think is a really good one, actually. This comes from Sarah A. in the YouTube chat. She says, question for speaker. Were you ever attacked by a demon during an exorcism? Did one ever interact with you in any way? I think interact maybe is talk to you, maybe.
Yeah, that's a great question. And the thing with an exorcist will not have a conversation with the demonic. An exorcist demands. Simply because I'm not there to have a conversation. I'm there to demand the demonic to leave. Now, in the rite, there is a demand of its name, because once you have its name, then you have control. So there is that element to it. But I don't have a conversation. Have I been attacked? Yes, I've had my jaw dislocated. As a matter of fact, if you ever hear me do a paranormal conference, I can actually pop the left side of my jaw. Because it had been dislocated.
Were you physically punched by somebody, or was it unseen somebody, the person you were doing the exorcism on?
I was hit.
Does it seem like, just last week in my World Wide Web, a weird news segment, we had a story about a woman who broke into these people's house. This is a crazy story. She broke into their house. The father finds her down in the basement, and she's totally naked. Of course, they're always naked. And only description of her, she's naked and had a blue ponytail. His description of her was she was laughing to herself hysterically. And then when he asked her to leave, she turned to him and said she was the devil, and her eyes were complete black saucers. They said it took the whole family fighting her. He fired like a whole magazine at her, rounds. They don't tell you if he hit her. That's what I want to know. Did he actually hit her? I mean, he had to have. It's close quarters. You see the bullet holes in the pictures. But the whole family fought her. They held her down. The 12-year-old son finally got her out by shoving all they say is he shoved a wrench into her neck. Did it stab her in the neck? I don't know. It was very vague, but it was a story covered by Fox News and something like that. That sounds like a demonic experience. These people, this woman, or it was, it's one of these, or a little of both. These kind of experiences people have. I mean, there's drugs like Flocka out there and stuff that make people go crazy and strong, but it all sounds very familiar. When you talk about exorcism, do people have the strength of 4 people when you're trying to do this?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I mean, that is an absolute. As a matter of fact, a friend of mine I used to go down. He was in a zoo, and I was able to. It was an interesting experience. Jump on top of a rather large alligator. And only because I have a fear. I have a fear of sharks and alligators. And I think the best way to overcome these fears is to face them head on. And so for me, I did that. And that is the best way to describe it, is when a person is transitioning into a possession, you will feel, just as I felt the alligator, you'll feel it build up. You'll feel it, it kind of like takes it up air, and you can feel it about to explode before it starts thrashing. And it's the same way with a person who is under the stage of either oppression or even possession. You will feel the build up before maybe violence sometimes occurs, but not all the time. It's not all the time a violent situation. I mean, I tell you, there was a story one time I went to Michigan. It was a 9-hour drive, and the team couldn't go there. And the grandmother was a grandmother and her little, I think she was 14 years old. And the grandmother was just terrified of what this girl was doing, just terrified. And so I drove up there, 9 hours. And I got there, and immediately this girl, the grandmother was crying. I mean, because she had custody of the child. She didn't know what to do. And the child was, flopping around on the ground. And I immediately knew this was just a con. And I tell you what, I'm a big man. And with the loud, biggest, booming voice, I said, shut your mouth and sit your butt down right now. And she stopped flashing or flopping around all over like a fish. She looked at me. She couldn't believe it. And I said, sit down. And I sat there and lectured her for 30 minutes. And I drove all the way to 9 hours to this place and 9 hours back home, and how much money she has stolen from people who could have used that money to put food on the table. And boy, I gave her a tongue lashing. And it was all because, and she basically caused this drama for her grandmother, because her grandmother didn't want to, she wanted something, and her grandmother wouldn't buy it for her because she couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford it.
Teenagers can seem like they're possessed. I could definitely, I'm not looking for when my kids become teenagers, but I don't have any daughters. I've worked with teenage girls. Yeah, they can seem possessed at times. We do have a phone call on the line. Who do we got on the Skype line?
This is Mike. Hi.
Hi, how you doing, Mike? Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, ask them about temperature changes. I was looking at a video today. They were using SLS, and they had a spirit in a chair, and a gentleman approached it, the chair, and felt cold. He felt the coldness, and I was gonna. What is the dimensional cause of this coldness, and like other things, electromagnetics, and does he have any comment on that?
Do you experience those temperature fluctuations with the demonic?
Yeah. Yeah. Is he there still?
Yeah.
I can barely hear.
Yeah, you're a little quiet.
I think you were talking about something about the temperature.
Yeah, he's talking about temperature fluctuations. There an SLS camera was, I guess, capturing the temperature change in a chair or whatever. I've experienced what feels like temperature changes in the locations, but I can't document it. It doesn't show up, but I felt it. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah, and also it's interesting because when I've done a deliverance at a home, and I'm not talking about a deliverance for a demonic. So there was I believe a spirit that was there that was going,
a human spirit,
a human spirit that was not. But there was some activity. It was frightening the family. And when I began the prayer of asking God to forgive the sins of the individual, to release this individual, not to be afraid, to move on. The temperature, the family did not have air conditioning, and it was 90 degrees in this house. And I kid you not, it went down, I think, to like 63 degrees. It was a dramatic drop.
That was documentable, though. You got it. You actually could see the.
Oh, yeah, it was actually. We actually had one of those thermal.
Yeah.
Things that people use. And I'm telling you, but it was not a frightening. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever witnessed. The same thing has happened for a demonic. And a demonic, it's a manipulation of the environment for the sole purpose of causing havoc, causing fear. These are what a lot of people would call parlor tricks. And that's all this is. It's a parlor tricks to cause, to get inside the psyche.
Get a reaction out of you, probably.
Get a reaction, yeah. To cause emotional distress or make you think, oh my gosh, I'm intimidated. They're controlling the environment. No. Those are all parlor tricks.
Did that answer your question, Mike?
Yeah. One more question. What is a demon a fallen angel that died after it was here, and procreated with earthly women, and then died, and they? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. You're talking about the old story about the belief that demonic entities actually had relations with women,
and the Nephilim,
offspring of angels and women, and that's actually based on what's called the Son of God, or the sons of God in Genesis chapter 6 verse 2, where it says that angels had intercourse with the daughters of men,
right,
and it produced a resulting offspring, which we call Nephilim, or some people say Nephilim.
That's all. I butcher everything. So,
but actually, if you look at the translation, this was not an actual unnatural sexual union for the phrase took wives for themselves or something of this. It actually refers to marriage relationship, and there is no indication at all that Nephilims were demons. They were actually, if you look at the proper translation in Scripture, it means heroes or fierce warriors.
Like Zeus.
So the belief, like Zeus. Well, no, Nephilims. It was believed that they were actually the literal offspring of women and demons, and angels, I should say.
Right.
And that really is. There's no theological backing, and then that's people debate that all day long, but that's really, again, that's based on the sons of God in Genesis. But again, if you look at the proper, the translation of Nephilims, it's not demonic. It's actually great, fierce warriors.
So the only way a demon can be is from when Michael kicked them out of heaven, right? They have to be angels that are fallen?
Yeah, because you have to understand something. Yes, and you have to understand, I personally believe, as a theologian, that they are what's called fallen but unconfined angels. And what that means, when Lucifer rebelled against God, he fell from the place of prominence, which obviously in heaven, and led with him a host of lower-ranking angels. That is what I believe the best definition of an angel. Remember, or demons, I should say. Right. Remember that heaven is not forced upon anyone, because we know the angels freely chose to reject God. So therefore, free will must exist in heaven. But that violation of free will, that free will is universal. So when we die, that free will still exists. It doesn't get taken away, and God forces heaven upon us. And I think that's why some spirits remain here on earth, because I think, yes, heaven is presented. And we can either choose to go forward or we can stay. I think that free will still exists even in heaven.
It would have to be, because to me, if I'm forced to do something, then it doesn't feel very much heavenly. Well, thank you, Mike, for calling in tonight.
Okay, thank you too. I was going to ask one more thing about angels, but
go ahead. No, it's fine.
Can an angel, like Lucifer, can appear to you as he is, or in a form? Is that correct? And another thing, if you call upon an angel, will that angel definitely come? I mean, I guess because it's an angel, it will respond to you. And then I guess, go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great questions. And I tell you what, one thing that I have found, especially with demonic entities, is they will manipulate the emotions of paranormal investigators. Most paranormal investigators who actually go to people's homes have a true desire to want to help those families who are actually going through. And so sometimes the activity will come across as a child. Oh, it's a child, or it's just to get you basically enticed. So then you accidentally, by complete accident, you then invite. And as far as the angel, what was the second question?
Well, like Lucifer can, he could appear to, like Jesus. I mean, he appeared to Jesus in the 40 days of, out fasting and that. And but can an angel appear to you? I mean, I guess maybe that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. An angel can appear to you, but somebody
Lucifer
might not be able to handle it.
Yeah.
When I say appear, when I say appear, during the solemn rite of exorcism, there's a litany. What we do we pray what's called the Litany of the Saints, and we invoke the saints. We invoke Archangel Michael. We invoke all the archangels through this prayer. And by invoking them, the exorcist is not alone in the room. The exorcist is surrounded by heavenly angels preparing the battle and fight, and angels and saints are present within that room, combating this demonic entity, forcing the demonic entity to leave. So we call upon our angels. We call upon our saints. We call upon any heavenly being that can stand side by side with the exorcist to fight the demonic.
Is the Saint Michael prayer one of the most powerful that you know of?
Absolutely, most certainly it is, and I believe in Saint Michael. I have, I tell you what, and I believe in my guardian angel, and I think my guardian angels are probably telling God, look, we need a vacation, because if I didn't have my guardian angels, I would be in trouble. And I will tell you this, and this is really important. And you asked questions about angels, and I'm glad you did that. One thing you got to remember is your guardian angel will never, ever help you unless you give them permission first, because they will not violate your free will. That goes against God.
Right.
So if you're going to ask your angel to help, you have to give them permission to intercede on your behalf to help. And that is the invitation your guardian angel needs to help.
All right. Well, Mike, you had a lot of questions in there, but they were really good ones. Thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay.
Well, yeah, that makes sense to me. Free will, it to me, is one of the most important factors to our existence. We've had guests on it talk about predestination and the future and all that, and free will is an illusion. And I'm like, to me, life or existence wouldn't be the same if we don't have free will.
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard the theories that we're all kind of just like the Sims. There's a manipulator up there, and I just don't believe that. I think we can freely choose. And I think that's what makes life so special. But that's also what you were talking about, aliens. Because I have a lot of friends who truly, absolutely believe, without question, just as much as I know I am an exorcist, they know that they were in fact taken.
Yeah.
That they were abducted.
Physical evidence, even, I've seen.
There's physical. I have no question in my mind. There's no question that aliens exist. And there is no question in my mind that abduction has occurred. And the parallel between a demonic entity and an alien is that they both violate free
Exactly. You being abducted is against your free will. We got a lot of people calling in, so I guess we're going to start taking phone calls here, because I only got the one line with 2 ways to call in. So if you call in tonight, people, and I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. Just try back as soon as you hear me get off the line. We got area code 807. Who do we get on the line?
It's Laura Lee. Hi, Jason. How are you?
How you doing? I knew you were going to call in. I'm glad you did. I was hoping you would.
You knew I was going to call. I had to call. Hi, Bishop James. It's nice to hear what you're talking about. I agree 100%. The reason why I'm calling, I'm a psychic medium. I'm also a registered nurse. And the house I live in, how this all started, I had a dream. A demon appeared to me, gave me its name, gave me its animal form, was trying to get me to it was promising me stupid things like wealth and fame. If only I agreed to follow him, and I can't say in radio terms what I told him in my dream. And he still wouldn't leave. And I ended up calling on Archangel Michael, because we work with the archangelic realm. But we have been through probably going on 11 years. My husband's been thrown 15 feet. We've been burnt. We've been scratched. We've bites. Like you just name it, it's a crazy story. I believe what we've been going through is still here, but the only thing that seems to have helped is me following this path that I am now, working with the archangelic realm. But I'd still love to know how to get rid of this. We've never been able to get even a team to agree to come where we live. I'd love for somebody objectively to come, because Jason's been my biggest help, believe it or not.
I can't go to Thunder Bay, Canada.
I know, I'm in Canada. I'm in Canada.
You up for a trip to Canada?
That's been the problem. So I'd love to hear if what your thoughts are on this. Do they normally do stuff like this, appear to somebody in a dream and tell them their name, their animal form?
Not the name. That's very unusual, only because
That's
once you have that information, that you have that control of the identity. But I will tell you this, and this is something that I learned a long time ago when I went to St. Meinrad. It's St. Meinrad is run by the Benedictines, and an old monk told me, James, never forget this: the closer you get to God, the harder the devil works against you. And so, as you're on your path, the path that God has called you to be on, you're going to have those obstacles sometimes in your life, and you just have to stay firm on your grounding in your faith, and just simply don't let the parlor trick scare you.
Well, yeah, and you know what? You are right, because when you know something has the power to throw a full-grown man, and that has been the biggest thing, is if we don't discuss our faith, but if we did not have our faith, I'm Roman Catholic, my whole family is, we've been baptized, it's just the fact that it appeared, and I never went looking for this. Like I said, I work with the archangelic realm. The more I keep wanting to not get involved with the paranormal, the more it seems to find me, so I'm starting to believe this may actually be part of my path. Showing the light, working with the angelic realm, that maybe that's what I'm going to have to do. Because like I said, everything this thing had told me, its name, the spelling, the animal form I actually found 2 years ago quite by accident, was identical to what it had told me.
Yeah, I think with you, first of all, your story of being a nurse, the fact that you dedicated your life to helping people, I mean, that in of itself means that you're growing closer to God, no matter. I tell you, one of the things that when you're dealing with a demonic entity is I have a very deep spiritual relationship with my guardian angels. I really, truly believe every time, and even my aunt, my aunt who passed away, her name was Mary, and she loved roses. And she always told me, when you smell roses, I'm there with you. And I've done 28 documented actual exorcisms, and in every single one of them, I smelled roses. I smelled roses before the exorcism.
I've heard people smelling roses after a place has been
Archangel
exorcised.
Michael.
Sorry, Laura.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jason.
I was
Sorry.
going to say, I've heard people saying they smell roses after a place has been exorcised.
Yeah, I think now that wasn't me. I think that was the host talking to you about an individual or smelling roses.
Yeah.
And that's we can say that could be contributing to a lot of things, but roses to me is that's my personal. At least that's my personal connection with my aunt who passed away, who always told me that she's got my back. So I call upon Saint Michael, and I demand whatever is in my home, any negative energy to remove itself immediately, and I call upon all my angels, the guardian angels, and Michael to force whatever entity to leave. I bless my home with holy water. I use incense. A lot of people use blessed sage, but that's what I use, and I do it once a week, every week religiously.
Okay. No, my second son, who's severely autistic, his middle name is Michael, because that's who I work with very closely, is Archangel Michael. So I really appreciate your insight on this. Thank you so much. You're a very interesting guest.
Thank you. My pleasure. Great questions, too. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you for calling in, Laura Lee.
Okay, thanks. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
Thank you.
No, I was just saying, I've heard, when a place has been blessed or they've removed the spirits or the demons, whatever, people have smelled roses, when you brought that up. But for you, it's a personal thing. You smell it before the exorcism. It's like she's letting you know she's there to help.
It's nice, and your caller just that I just spoke to. I mean, the fact that she is a nurse. I have a great respect. My mom was in the medical field, and the amount of love and compassion that they give is just it's just insurmountable. I mean, it's just one of those. So I mean, that is a calling from God.
Well, my mom was a respiratory therapist for like 17 years, and I'll never forget one of her experiences she had with a psychic medium. The psychic knew her patient names and was basically telling her that these patients had passed on that she had taken care of. They were coming across thanking her for being there and helping.
Yeah, and see, And you would ask, why did I join the old Catholics? And that's because I believe in psychics, and I want to work with psychics, people who are legitimately psychic, who are doing the work for the betterment and for the good and not for the bottom dollar. Because I believe there are people who truly are gifted and talented, and I've worked with several of them.
See, that's a bit. Most people think a Catholic's going to be like, oh no, that's the devil, psychics and mediums. But so for your branch of Catholicism doesn't frown upon it then.
Well, not everybody. Again,
not everybody, baby.
Jurisdiction. Even within my own jurisdiction, they might have some people say, well, I don't really believe in psychics. The fact is I believe that people in Scripture, we call them prophets.
Right.
Well, sure, there's a prophet. All the prophets, they speak about, they have a message from God. I mean, John was considered not only, of course, a saint, but he's a prophet because he was talking about revelation. There's a lot of prophets in Scripture, and they get messages from God. Well, those prophet Moses, for goodness sakes. I mean, so I think the difference between a true person who has a gift and ability are doing it for the betterment of society and people versus an individual who's doing it for the betterment of their pocketbook.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't blame a psychic or medium for getting getting payment for their services.
I agree. Absolutely.
They have a specialty. But there's some that it's like, seriously, you're going to charge that much?
I think. Yeah, we're both right on the same page with that. Yeah. I mean, but they have every right to charge. That is their time, and they're not clergy. So that's why people say to me, "Well, Bishop, why are you saying that psychics should charge? But well, so should you." No.
No,
because I've taken a vow. I've taken a vow to God to be a servant of the people. I mean, psychics they're not taking a vow.
They're everyday people living a life, but they have a special ability other people don't. So time is a little bit of money. We have another phone call here.
Sure.
We got Zach on the line. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, brother. How you doing?
Doing good.
Hi.
It sounds like you have a little bit of a poor connection. Hopefully, we can get your question through. It's all right.
Just have one question, and then I'll just share a little bit of my own demonic experience. Bishop Long, very nice to meet you, man. The one question that I have, I take a look at a lot of current events that go on, and I do know that there's a lot of demonic devil worship that does occur. I mean, within Hollywood.
Oh, you're getting to something I wanted to get into tonight.
Well, and the recent events that we have, like you have people like Bill Cosby and Jeremy Epstein, all these high, big profile. Jeffrey Epstein, my apologies. Coming into light and being exposed really for all these sick, horrific things that they've done, especially the children. Do you believe that really this is in the forces of good exposing the dark nature of what these people have been doing? Or do you think, though, that it's more of these larger demonic entities really just dropping dead weight to really prevent really some more darker things from being exposed? Why or why not?
Uh-oh. Hold on a second, Zach. We lost him there for a second. You still there, Bishop Long?
Speaking of weird things.
Yeah, it got a poor connection on his end, so hold on a second. Let me see. Let me hang up and try again. Sounds like we're in a submarine.
Periscope up.
Oh no!
Hi.
It's like trying to connect with them.
Speaking of getting attacked.
Says he isn't online, so it might be something on his end. Let me see if I can message him and see if we can get him on another way. Hang in there. How you been doing, Zach? Well, Zach, while I'm trying to get Bishop line, tell us a little bit about your experience.
All right. So I did tell you a little bit of my stories about what happened in my second apartment. But really what started that was that a friend of mine on Facebook, they were doing a live session. They were doing a spirit box session. And I decided, I'll just go in there and I'll check it out. And they saw that I had logged in to watch their feed. And this individual, they had no malice intention whatsoever, but they asked the spirit that was on the other, oh, do you want to go over and see Zach? And I heard a voice on the box there say, we're here. And I thought, oh, man. And that's when the activity started to happen. I would see this shadow figure, whatever it was. It looked like a blob in the shape of a human, but yet it had no like feet right at the bottom. And I would hear voices at night talking to me, many of which I couldn't even understand what they were saying. And there were times where my bathroom lights would flicker on and off. And what got to me especially was when it went after my fiance, because she said one time we were in bed together. She said that by the bathroom door, she could see what looked like a blob standing by the door, but on the wall between the bathroom door and the closet, she saw a shadow of a large spider that broke up into little tiny spiders. And I didn't see this for myself. I'm like, oh man. But there was one time where I had to go into work and she was there by herself, and I came back and she's looking real panicked. And she says, don't ever leave me alone in this apartment again, because apparently she said that the bathroom lights would keep flickering on and off by themselves. I would be hearing voices in the apartment. But there is one thing though. There was always one room though, and that was my living room, kitchen area of my apartment, that this entity would not go near. And it's because I had a little ceramic figurine of an angel that belonged to my grandmother that had some crystals on it. And I placed it directly to where there would be some sunlight. And for some reason, this entity would not go into this room. It only occurred either in my bedroom or the bathroom or the closet. Never once did it ever happen over in the living room.
Hold on, Zach. Let's see, make sure we got him here. Are you on the line, Bishop Long?
I am.
Okay. Yeah, we lost you on Skype. Skype can be
Yeah.
a bastard like that, I guess. But we got you back. I don't know. You heard Zach was telling a little bit of his experience, and that one of the things you described, Zach, is seeing the blob turn into a spider that broke up into a million spiders, or his girlfriend saw that. Because I had that experience as a kid. I saw what I believe couldn't have been real, was billions of like spiders going up this wall at this house once when I was a little kid, and I know that couldn't have been something real, but I remember seeing it, and I always thought it was something demonic or evil.
That certainly sounds like any type of spiders is something that I want no part of. So I'll run away from spiders, but I'll go into a demonically infested home.
No problems with the demonic, just the spiders is where you draw the line. Well, the demons might know how to get you, then they're going to send some spiders your way. Well, Zach, we got Bishop Long. Do you have any other questions for him? I don't know where we got cut off at.
It's just really that. It's just really the only question I had really, Bishop Long, is that really a lot of the events that have been going on. I mean, there's a lot of devil worship that does occur in both like Hollywood and politics. And you hear these high profile names like Bill Cosby, for example, or Jeffrey Epstein. Mm-hmm. Epstein being exposed for really all the horrific things that they've done. Is this, in your opinion, is this God and the forces of good exposing the dark nature of what these individuals are doing? or just really these higher demonic entities and their worshippers just dropping dead? Why not?
Well, I truly believe that there's demonic influence there. And what I was saying earlier, this is a perfect example about the two categories of demonic activities: the ordinary and then the extraordinary demonic activity. The ordinary activity is when a demonic will cause influence. So if you struggle with alcoholism, it will increase that weakness, or drugs, or unfortunately,
Pedophilia.
children, hurting children, or anyone. It will manipulate that illness tenfold, and then it starts breaking you down to the point where you do things that you should not be doing. So it will manipulate those 7 deadly sins that we all know so well, and it will manipulate those weaknesses that we all have.
Well, Zach, that answer your question?
Okay. That does answer my question.
All right. Well, thanks for
Bishop
calling
Long,
in,
thank you so much for answering my question, man. Greatly appreciate it.
Oh,
Thank you for allowing me to
Thank you.
call
Thank
in,
you.
brother. You have a good night, all right?
All right. Have a good night, Zach.
Thank you. You too.
You have to wonder. I mean, you talk about Laura Lee's earlier that called and said about the demon coming to her and offering her a bunch of things like, fortune, fame, or whatever. How many of these people up in Hollywood might have, can somebody sell their soul to the devil is the question.
Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it? Because ultimately we own, we are responsible for our souls. So some theologians will say, no, the demonic will possess the body, but it does not possess the soul. So is the soul something that we can bargain? I personally say yes. I think we can, because the soul exists after death. And therefore, we have that right to completely reject God and everything that God stands for, and therefore we reject heaven. And that is the soul. That is the eternal existence of what we're going to experience when we all die, every single one of us. And so, for me, my goal is to always make sure that I'm on the path to as much righteousness as I can get. I fall short because I'm a sinner. I'm a sinner like everybody else. But I acknowledge those sins through the sacrament of reconciliation, and I try to do the best that I can every single day when I wake up. I try to help as many people as I can. And if it's just one person, that's okay, as long as I try to help as many people as I can.
Now, there's some people, one of the things we haven't even gotten into tonight is people that, people invited in, people that might sell their souls, like in Hollywood, who knows? But what about the people who didn't do any of that, didn't invite it in, but they're still possessed, like the ones that are like generational possessions? Do you believe
there's
that?
generations. Oh, sure. I believe generational curses, because and there are blessings that a clergy can do, and even really laity can do. There are prayers that people can pray for generational curses. However, I think that that goes so far. That really does go so far. In other words, I think that if somebody did something, in 4 generations back, 5 generations back, then am I going to be punished for that type of evil committed by a member of my family that's 5 generations? I just think that sometimes I think that we like to try to explain why bad things happen to us, and sometimes it's easier to blame it on a generational curse rather than perhaps maybe the actions that we do that are cause and effect.
Very true.
In other words, your wife didn't leave you because of a generational curse. No, your wife left you because you cheated on her with another woman. Okay, let's get to the bottom line. All right, so sometimes it's easier to blame it on a generational curse than it is to say, you know what, let's do some self-reflection. And this is why this happened.
Well, I definitely can see people, there'd be an easy way to blame a lot of bad luck in their family and all that. I mean, my father's side of the family has a lot of bad, but a lot of it has to do with drugs and alcohol and, things like that. That the generational curse is just, I think, genes that are people who get easily addicted, But I do know somebody. I remember I had a friend in high school who her family believed they had a generational curse. It went back to her great-grandfather who tried to kill her great-grandmother who was pregnant. And then after that, on that date that he had tried to kill her and killed himself, a family member would always die. And the whole family feared this date in October. I remember it was like October 23rd or something like that. They all feared this date. They took it very seriously. And, is that demonic, or is that, what could follow a family like that?
Sometimes I think, honestly, I think there's a lot of people who really believe in superstitions, and that's, I don't try to discredit their beliefs or still that it's silly, because that's not really being tied to it. Because they really truly believe in these superstitions and really honestly believe it. However, I'm more on the skeptical mind when it comes to that. I know somebody.
Real quick, Bishop Long, sorry. You're kind of getting real fuzzy on us with the sound. I don't know if you want to, are you on speakerphone?
Yeah, well, I'm on speakerphone now, but I can turn you down.
Yeah.
So can you hear now?
Yeah, it's still kind of like fuzzy. Darn Skype. Wish it would have worked.
Yeah, Skype. I don't know why. What's going on?
I might try during the commercial break. I might try calling you back on Skype. We might try that again. But sorry to interrupt you, but it was getting kind of fuzzy, hard to hear you there.
Yeah, hopefully you should be able to hear pretty clear.
Yeah. We do have another phone call on the line too. Actually, we'll get to that before we go to our last commercial break. We got 405 area code. Who do we got?
Hey, it's Tyler. I thought I could talk about generational curse. I can totally tie into this a little bit. I mean, I've shared a little bit of that crazy dream that I had, and I've seen this little figure about 4 feet tall standing. It was really scrawny, and the girl next to me, she was wide-eyed and her mouth was dropped, and I was trying to wake her up and stuff, and she wouldn't wake up. But anyways, I'm slowly starting to. I didn't know my dad for 21 years, and I'm slowly starting to understand our lineage a little bit, and we trace all the way back to the Civil War a little bit, where I guess my great-great-grandfather was a clergy for the Confederates, but he was really mean. He was just I don't. After the war, he kind of shied away from God or something like that, or I don't know the full story, but.
Your family's had stuff happen to it over the years, Tyler? Like, that's paranormal?
Oh, I mean, my mom can see stuff. My mom dreams like I do, but my dad doesn't really necessarily. He's Catholic, but he doesn't want to believe in it. He really protects his spirit. He doesn't believe the kind of thing, but he believes in God and all that stuff. And I don't know, but my mom, I've just known throughout the years. We got addicts, we got drunks. It's just bad luck. I mean, I don't know. It's just, and then I get my dreams too, and whatnot, and it's just sometimes it's all overbearing. But I don't know how to explain it, but it's just generational curse is just something so hard to escape, because it's, especially I can see that being, it's still imprinted in my mind, and I'm always scared to go to sleep, because what if I start terrorizing in my sleep again and freak people out? I don't like doing it. It scares people.
Bishop Long, for somebody like Tyler who's had this, seen an entity and had these experiences, and a family that's had a lot of bad luck and drug abuse and that, I mean, is it possible that this is a generational curse for his family?
It certainly sounds like it is possible, but of course, again, as you stated, by really going into finding out, the issues with maybe bad choices, we don't know the whole detail. But I would say, certainly to you, is for anybody who has generational curses, is you do something, say, I rebuke this curse on your father's full name or your mother's maiden name, and all their ancestors, in the name of God the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. And I take this verse and cover it in the name of God. And just simply repeat that. And then praying Our Father. That prayer alone will help, kind of alleviate the generation curse. But again, I'm one of the skeptical minds of thinking that if people are taking drugs and people are doing some bad choices, is it a generational curse or is it just bad choices?
Well,
right.
That's what I've wondered about my
it's
family.
Bad choices, I'm trying to repent, and go to church, but it's hard It's hard for me to just walk into a church because I know God points me out, and sometimes I just like, God, can I just sit in the back row? Can I be that guy just for a little while? You just don't. And then I start getting, I don't know, I start feeling the anointing of God, and it just overtakes me. I mean, right now I'm starting to feel it. My skin's getting oily. It's an amazing feeling of the Holy Spirit. I love it. And it's just, it's good stuff. Anyways.
I think the first step
is so much for that prayer.
Yeah, I think your first step is, obviously just continuing to accept Christ in your life, allow the Holy Spirit to move within you, and that alone will give you the strength to endure the storms of life. It doesn't make it easy. It just gives you the strength to push forward.
Will that help you, Tyler?
Yeah, totally. And it does. And just, just as he's saying, it's just getting tough. I mean, I'm battling some my eyes are weak, are open, but they're weak to all the hate I'm seeing and the vicious people. So I changed my people, places, and things for 6 years, and it's still hitting me in the face. It's like, I don't know, God telling me to stop running from it, or I don't know, I need to deal with those people and shining them away from it, or I don't know. It's just I'm running from it because I don't want to be involved. It's just, that's not me. That's not the path God wants me on.
You're running from what?
It's pretty wicked stuff that goes around on. I can start getting into. I'm showing my music off, and I don't know. It's just I'm seeing that side of people that I just meeting people trying to get my music out there and just seeing the side of them.
What he's asking Tyler though is when you say you're running, what are you running from specifically?
Like I can sense, I can see and sense the aura around them that they're really bad people.
Oh, from other people that are bad influences.
I can see the demonic energy that's inside them. Like their eyes will start turning black sometimes. Like it's.
Well, that I think would be a clear sign, Tyler, to stay away if their eyes are turning black. Definitely a clear sign that's not probably a good idea to hang out with those people.
Yeah.
But we're going to be on a commercial break soon.
And that's why I'm not around them today. I haven't been around them for a couple of days. I just met these people, and I'm like, nope, this is not where I need to be. I'm good.
Well, if their eyes turn black, Tyler, those are not the people you should hang out with. I think it's a clear sign. Well, thanks for calling in, Tyler.
Thank you.
And again, man, that gut feeling tells you a lot that you need to know.
Yeah, right, exactly. Trust it. That's what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Tyler makes a really great point. What Einstein argued energy. Have you ever walked down the street and you saw this individual and you don't want it. You don't know who this person is. You don't want to know who that person is. They emit such negative energy. It's like, stay away.
Stomach turn.
But it's also the same way as if someone walks in the room and you don't know that person, but all you want to know is you want to just sit down at their feet and listen to whatever they have to say. They bring in that joy, that happiness into the room. I mean, that is all energy. And so what he's talking about is the energy of these negative individuals, and he knows, no, I want no part of that in my life.
Well, if you see their eyes turn black, I definitely, like I said, I think that's a clear sign. Do you have that? I talked about the description of the guy encountering that woman saying her eyes were black like saucers. Is that eye dilation, or have you seen where their eyes turn completely black?
A solid black. As a matter of fact, my first case,
Really?
when I was assistant to the exorcist, the one who mentored me, that there's a time that you check the eyelids and you raise the eyes and see where the pupils in dilation. That's when you know, because there's a difference between a transient possession and a perfect possession.
Really?
Transient was when the demonic will enter and leave the body at will. Annalise McKell, or otherwise known as Emily Rose.
Yeah.
She actually was in transient possession because she was a pianist too. And there were many times that she would play the piano beautifully and she was her normal self. And the demonic will enter the body and leave at will. At perfect possession, there is no release. The person is in a constant stage of possession. And so, yes, I have seen all eyes, not just the pupils, but the whole entire eye was solid black. And you can see your reflection. It's like looking into a mirror, but there's nothing. It is the best. The only way to describe it is nothingness. It's like you're looking in the eyes of a great white shark. There's nothing there.
The eyes rolled over white.
Yeah.
But that's what the great Quinn line. That's one of my favorite lines from a movie. But the whole eyes turning black, that brings me down to the subject of black-eyed kids. People encountering these children are like, "Let me in to your home," and their eyes are completely black. People describe encountering people that have their eyes turned completely black, and you think it's just the stuff of Hollywood. But I've heard people I totally believe when they tell me they've seen this happen. It's just so you've seen it. Your first case, you saw the eyes turn completely black.
And technically, from a theological perspective, in all the books that I read in theology and from theologians who studied demonology and possession all their lives, I mean, we're talking very, very articulate, intelligent, deep thinkers. It's very common if you see an apparition of a human spirit, one thing you have to be very careful about is you'll see no eyes. And if there are that usually tends to be on the demonic side. So the kids, and that's a blackness. There's just nothing there. So
right.
the black-eyed kids that they're talking about, that's ultimately emptiness. That is nothing exists. It is total void of life and hope. And so I would argue that the black-eyed children are most certainly demonic.
Well, think about again, we haven't even gotten into this yet because we had so many phone calls coming in. And people still can keep calling in after the commercial break here because we're going to commercial break in a second. But I have to, we got to get to the last half hour is, think about gray aliens. What are they? Big black eyes. Nothingness that people see in those eyes.
Void of nothing. To me, it really does concern me, again, that we've talked about the abduction thing. This violation of free will and this just a violation of the person's privacy, their body. It is such a true, ugly violation. But, if you really think about it, aren't we all kind of somewhat related in that point of think of man and what man has done to animals and the abuse and the experiments that we do on animals, all for the name of selling perfume. Or cologne, and just the barbaric torture, the total barbaric torture of these animals. It is ungodly. So how different are we really from aliens when we take things that cannot fight us, like cats and dogs, and do absolutely barbaric experiments on them?
We're just lower on the food chain than them.
It certainly makes you think. You see the correlation.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to go to our last commercial break here. When we come back, the phone lines will be back open. Call in at 219-230-4444 or Skype ID OOJBland00. Ask your questions or tell us about your experience. Maybe you've had a demonic experience. Let's hear about it tonight. All right, guys, we'll be back after the short commercial break.
Don't be alarmed.
It's only a laser sword fight. Don't be scared. It's only the Death Star destroying another world. Relax. It's only a movie, and it's all for fun. Director George Lucas and 20th Century Fox present Star Wars. Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
At Lombank, we're with you every step of the way.
We sell your dreams.
We're not a soulless, monolithic institution.
We are, but we use nostalgic imagery.
It's walking into your dream home.
You can't really afford it. We'll lend you the money anyway.
It's kids graduating from college.
With pointless degrees riddled with debt.
It's happy picnics on the beach.
There's sewage in the water.
Family portraits with everyone dressed the same.
You look like twats.
Canoeing in the lake.
By the power station.
Catching fireflies in a jar.
And watching them die.
Cheering at high school football games.
The kids are giving each other brain damage.
These are the things our lives are made of.
Interest rates only 33.4%.
Lombank. We're the American bank that truly, more or less, cares.
About profits.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Certificate A. Now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The Science of Crime is back for another season.
The cigarette was hotboxed. He was nervous about something. His orthopedic surgeon records indicate
that he was a deaf woman who plays guitar. Mermaids, multiple wives, threesomes. This is serious.
They're not detectives or scientists, but they act like they are. They're crime scene cops that take matters into their own hands. These guys are so smart, they never have to look anything up.
he was neurotic, with a love of puppies and experimental cooking.
I knew it. It's a partial lesion caused by light to medium tearing of the thoraxal cortex. Obviously, you can tell at a glance by the fingerprint on the mustard bottle. Andrews, my acting sucks ass.
The Science of Crime. It's forensically boring.
From deep space, the seed is planted. Terror grows.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Certificate X. Now showing London Pavilion, Classic Oxford Street.
Heat 'em up. Do, re. He gone.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest has been Bishop James Long. We've been talking about exorcism, demonic possession. I want to get a little bit into the ET phenomenon I didn't get to. We had some really great calls tonight. I kept Bishop James on the phone line. It seemed like his connection got clearer, so we should be good on that. But you can still call in on the other phone line at 219-230-4444 or Skype ID 00JBland00. Call in, tell us about your experience, or ask a question of Bishop Long. And also in the chat room, I see more questions coming there. I'm going to try to get to them. I got another good one from Sarah I should get to. But yeah, try to get your questions to Jamie Robb this last half hour. But let's go ahead and get back to our guests. You still there with me, Bishop Long?
I am still here.
Oh, my sinuses are getting me. I had to mute myself there for nobody to hear a big sneeze. Oh, it's been killing me. But I do have a question here I thought was really good. Again, from Sarah A. in the chat room. Actually, I'm really interested in this question she's got here. Let me see. Let me get it right here. She says, when magicians perform impossible acts of magic, is it because they've entered a contract with a demonic entity, such as levitation, appearances of objects out of nowhere? Is it possible there are some magicians that tap into like something out of Lord of Illusions? Because I've kind of wondered that, some of the stuff that these guys pull off.
I just think they're absolutely amazing illusionists, and so I would love to know some of their skills and techniques. But no, I think for me, I just think that they're just a great illusionist.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But man, some of them kind of portray like they're touching into the demonic forces. It's all part of the act.
Yes.
But it does. Some of the symbolism, that they use, you wonder. And one of my favorite movies, I was talking with my friend Heather Wade, is Lord of Illusions, is one of her favorite movies, and that's totally what the magician's basically disguising his magic act, but he's really calling upon demonic forces. And there might be at least one magician out there doing that.
Yeah, and that would be really, really dumb to do. But I mean,
Right.
You're right. I mean, I'm sure some people would do this. But I mean, and even in some cultures that they consider the magic that we call illusion, evil. Doing the work of the devil, witchcraft is. So you got to be real careful about your audience and who you choose to.
Yeah, if David
to
Copperfield
do
had been
that,
back in the Salem times, he'd probably been burned at the stake.
He would have had a hard time,
Yeah.
really hard time. Yeah.
Now, on this subject, I do want to get to this. I mean, so for Alien, what is your thoughts? I mean, even the Catholic Church, the traditional Catholic Church, has come out a little bit. It seems like the acceptance of that, the possibility of alien life. Where does this factor in when it comes to God and demons?
That's $1 million question, because when you're talking about alien life, boy, I mean, it's all subjective as far as thought. I got to tell you, it really makes me wonder, because if we're talking about crucifixion, are we talking about does Christ have to be crucified again on their planet for salvation, or is that the belief of salvation through all universe, which I believe it is a one-time cosmic event, and it will never happen again. And it is universal for every single living being on every single planet. That's my belief. It is a true cosmic event. So, but it does bring you to question, okay, what happens with these aliens, and how what are the correlation between them and demons? I don't know. I've never really had a case of a demonic or an alien invasion, if you will, of violation, and then how they would respond to using sacramentals of the church. Sacramentals of the church, incense, holy water, things of this nature. I've never had that situation. I've never used those items on an alien soul. For example, poltergeist. We were talking about energy.
Right.
Energy, and I've had many poltergeist cases. As a matter of fact, what people should be aware of, the number one form of destruction of poltergeist is fire.
Oh, yeah.
And so, but the thing with the poltergeist is I could perform 1 million minor rite of exorcisms on this thing, and it does nothing.
Right.
It absolutely will do nothing, because it is not demonic. It is negative energy. And so once you remove that negative energy from the source that's causing it, then the activity will decrease. And then you won't have those issues again. And so holy water or using incense or any other sacramentals of the church does nothing on a poltergeist case.
Well, some people theorize the poltergeist case is coming from a person or a person interacting with the environment. It's two factors.
And I truly believe, because I've had the cases to where the family was going through extreme emotional distress. There was a lot of fighting, and what's frustrating as an investigator, as we go in
And we start kind of noticing some trends here as far as anger and just
Stress.
resentment almost towards. And you had to peel the layers back. And by 5 hours later, finally the family tells you what's going on. Okay, there's a lot of fighting, a lot of extreme emotional distress. Now we finally get to the root of the problem 5 hours later. But, it takes some time for a lot of people to warm up to you. And to kind of be vulnerable and let you know some very personal things that's going on in their families.
Yeah, well, we're like, how does that relate? We got, stuff moving and throwing around, seeing and hearing things, and how does my personal business relate to this? But people don't understand.
Exactly. It's all energy. And of course, a lot of people confuse demonic activity, demonic infestation, with poltergeist. And that's something that I did want to touch on about the courses that I do teach, because that's very important, because this is why I do this stuff. I do this for education, and I do this to let people know that I do have 4 courses, and the funds go to my homeless ministry and my single mothers ministry. It's very important. And those courses, it's on paranormalcourse.com. And that's why I do these shows, these interviews at 2 o'clock in the morning, is so that I can let people know about what I offer and what I can do to help people who are desperately, need some assistance. So paranormalcourse.com, and they learn demonology, they learn genealogy, they learn angelology, and they also learn paranormal studies. 4 very in-depth courses. And I only ask for basically a $50 donation.
Oh, that's not a lot at all.
I can do a $50 donation in just the demonology course alone. But I don't believe in ripping people off. And again, 100% of the profits goes to funding the ministry. So I think that's a fair.
I take it though the demonology course means it doesn't mean you become a demonologist. It's just you learn more about
Absolutely not.
Right?
No. You learn because there's so much nonsense that's going on, and there's just so much. And as a person, I have a passion for teaching, and I'm just seeing such nonsense out there on the internet. And I thought, you know what? Why am I'm sitting here complaining about it? Now do something about it. And while you're doing something, you can help people in the meantime. So I'm educating, but I'm also helping people who are homeless and single moms who've gotten out of an abusive relationship. See, and I want to say something very important about that. A lot of people that I talk to, sometimes they'll say, why don't these single moms go to government assistance to get help? Well, that's a very rude response, right? Because they go to the government assistance, but they're not going to get help that day that they apply. Sometimes it takes a month, 2 months just to get any type of assistance. And in the meantime, they're trying to keep a roof over their kid's head or food on the table. And so they come to me. I have 53 single moms who are absolutely in desperate need of assistance. I mean, really desperate need. And so that's why I'm passionate about talking about the courses, because so I can help either pay electric or pay some food or something to help these single moms.
That's awesome. We do got another phone call on the line here at 661 area code. Who do we have?
Hi, my name is Ray. I understand that you have an exorcist on?
I do. Bishop James Long.
I have a family member who is dealing with possession, partial possession, and I was wondering if I could talk privately to you and possibly have an exorcism.
Well, what we do is you can send on Facebook is the best. It's Facebook.com/Bishop James Long, and you can just you can find me on Facebook. Just that's the actual URL, Facebook.com/Bishop James Long. You can send me or. What's that?
So you're kind of now. Of course, now when you're trying to get out information is when your connection seems to get like you're kind of muffled. Try to talk into the phone a little more, maybe. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, or you can email me. Because I don't have you on speakerphone right now. I actually took that off. You can email me at usocc@yahoo.com. That stands for United States Old Catholic Church. USOCC@yahoo.com.
Did you get that, Ray?
USOCC@yahoo.com?
That's me. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Is that all you had, Ray?
Yeah, that's all I needed. Thank you.
Well, no problem. Thanks for calling in. Hope you get some help.
Have a good night.
You too. Do you think, you hear, I've been hearing this since the 90s that the exorcisms are on the rise. You hear it more recently, especially in South America. They talk about they need more exorcists. Are possessions on the rise, in your opinion?
I think ordinary demonic activity and deliverances are necessary. I think I've seen an increase in demonic attachments and ordinary demonic activity, but I have not seen an increase in the extraordinary demonic activity realm. I just simply have not seen an increase in individuals who are possessed. And as a person, I've studied statistics when I did my, of course, Masters of Business, as well as education, and I just don't see it. I have 9,873 emails right now in my email, and that's for 2 weeks.
Jeez.
And I've been doing this for 20 years, and I can tell you that through the statistics that I keep, because I'm a big statistic guy, I have not seen. I've only done 28 documented exorcisms in 20 years. And that tells you I got almost 10,000 emails in 2 weeks. So that gives you an idea of how rare it really is.
So most of them you find are demonic.
Most of them I find as an attachment, and the person needs a deliverance, or they have maybe a demonic infestation. But again, a demonic infestation is rare. When I go into a home, I want to debunk everything that's going on in that house, and I will literally. I'm telling you, I am the biggest skeptic you're going to find, because if I believe that everybody had a demon in their house, I mean, every person walked down the street, there's a demon, there's a demon, there's a demon. That's just simply it's just simply not the case.
It's more rare.
It is very rare.
That's what I've always felt, because I've probably done nowhere near the amount of investigations you've done, but I've done quite a few residentials over the years, and I have people come to me, they're like, I believe it's a demon, and it's really dark, and I get there and I hear their stories and their experiences. I'm like, I really, I can't tell you it's demonic or not, but my feeling is this is not demonic, and I've not yet run across a case where it is. Now, there's cases where I thought probably was demonic, but the thing is, it's got so bad that people left the home. The ones that are really bad, I never even get a chance to investigate, because I don't. It isn't like Ghostbusters where I got, we got a ghost hunt. Let's go and throw the lights on, and it takes me a couple weeks of interviews and setting it up to get into a home. Well, usually if it's so bad, people just get out. They just get out.
That is absolutely true. And see, when I get involved with a case, when it actually comes to my level, meaning that not level as I'm hierarchy has nothing. No, because I can't chase down every single request. It's impossible. So I have teams all around the United States, and these teams who've been in the paranormal for years, and they're good, solid teams. So they go out and they actually investigate these cases, and based on what they say, they send that information to me, and I hear them and I listen to them and I get their impression. By the time it gets to clergy, my perspective, I already pretty much have a solid idea of what I'm walking into. And so that's when because I simply don't have the time to investigate the noises that go, bump in the night, because that could be an air conditioner or a compressor kicking on. So that's why teams will go out and they will do the really hard legwork, which I count on them so much to do. And that helps. It helps speed the process up, and it also helps us be able to get through as many cases as we can.
One of the things we didn't get to tonight, too, I think what made The Exorcist so scary, besides being demonic possession, was demonic possession of a child. Have you had cases with children?
Yeah, actually, possession does not occur before the age of reason. And there is the argument 12 to 14 years old. I've never, ever, ever seen a case, ever, in any of the writings, in any historical writings where a child was possessed under the age 12. It simply doesn't exist. There is the age of reasoning means you are reasonably responsible to where you can make an invitation to the demonic, because you have to have that form of invitation. And so I have not seen any legitimate cases of a child being possessed under the 12. if there is one out there, I would like to investigate that, because I have a hard time believing that someone who is under the age of reasoning would be possessed. I just simply don't. I don't buy that.
Well, do you think that somebody, I mean, for example, somebody who, children don't choose their parents. Some parents are evil and are into Satanism and sell their child, they believe they've sold their child's soul even to the devil. Do you think that's possible, that a child could be, corrupted by their parents to that extent?
Corrupted, yes, but I don't think, because of the age of reason being that the child can make the decision as to whether or not they're going to sell their soul and then be held accountable for that. Before the age of reason, it just simply doesn't exist. I think that they could be brought up in an environment in which they have unfortunately been indoctrinated into this ridiculous belief that, Satanism is a great thing. And that touches on a subject that I think is very important, and I make people angry with this, but I really don't care, because I have to speak the truth. This New Age belief that Satanism has nothing to do with Satan is an absolute falsehood. Do not fall into the trap to where this new redefining Satanism has nothing to do with Satan. I'm telling you now.
As they put a big Bathmot statue up in the middle of a square. Nothing to do with Satan here, people.
Exactly. Nothing, that's right. Right. But that's what's going on now.
Oh, yeah, I know.
It's redefining Satanism as, you're just trying to find yourself, you're empowering yourself. No. That's not Satanism, that's called Christianity, because that's exactly what Christ taught us to do, to empower ourselves when he defended the prostitute and defended the children, defended the lepers, defended the sinners, to empower ourselves. That's a Christianity. That has nothing to do with Satanism. Satanism takes away.
It perverts.
And Christianity, yeah, absolutely. So don't fall into that trap.
I'm not a Christian, but I'm not a Christian, but I completely 100% agree with it, because I've seen that argument a lot lately from the Satanist movements. It's like, we're not really believe in the devil and all that stuff.
Right.
Then get rid of all the junk. Just say you're anti-Christian, or you're an atheist organization. But you're like saying you're taunting Christianity by doing you're Satanist. I think it's a spiel they sell to people they want to get into the Satanic Church. But
that's exactly right.
The ones that are leading it really do believe in Satan.
I'm telling you that what you hit the nail on the head. It is the false belief. Let's try to convince them and confuse them that has nothing to do with Satanism, but yet I have an upside down cross on my cheek. Right. I mean, give me a break. I mean, come on now. So it doesn't. You can't. I'm a Christian, but yet I don't believe in Christ. It doesn't work that way. It simply doesn't work. So the idea that you're going to redefine Satanism and remove Satan in the term, it simply does not exist.
But you wonder how much. See, one of my things I've always been interested in is I've always, in the Anton LaVey in the 60s, the Satanic Church and his involvement with Hollywood. And I know the CIA saw, I believe they had connections to Anton LaVey, and they helped create a secret satanic cult within Hollywood to control Hollywood. Honestly, that's what I believe. I believe that's why you see it in the music, you see it in the entertainment industry, that there's people that in Hollywood that part of them think it's just some kind of secret club, while others are really true believers, in the satanic.
And it's a shame because it really is. Anton LaVey did that for those, and he even admitted he did it for the sole purpose of selling books.
Yeah.
I mean, so the whole LaVey thing is created on a scar. It's a lie. You cannot preach to people that Satanism is so wonderful because it teaches you to empower yourself and be a strong person and don't get walked on. Give me a break. Give me a break. That it is such a misleading lie. And I just find it so offensive that they continue to do this, to try to redefine themselves and make themselves out to be Ozzy and Harriet, or the Beaver Cleaver family. I don't think so.
Well, I think too what's going on, in society is we're trying to normalize a lot of things to me that are evil. I mean, I think I'm a very open person. I'm very liberal. I'm libertarian. But there's certain things like the Satanist movement and I honestly think we're sexualizing children. I think there's things going on that I just don't agree with.
Yeah,
and
I agree 100%. 100%. I find I agree with you. I fight for human rights, and I agree with LGBT. But I'm going to say this: I find some of the pride parades so vulgar,
right,
and distasteful. I mean, that to me, if you want to have an LGBT parade, that's fine, but you don't have to be vulgar and disgusting and vile while you're doing it. And I've seen some parades, I just think this goes beyond pride. This is just plain filth.
Right. I'm all for them having a parade and celebrating their coming out and being accepted by society, but we don't need the vulgarity. I have friends that are gay, the beautiful relationships. I support gay marriage. I support their right, and I people are like, why have a heterosexual? No, I understand why having a pride parade. They were, had to be in hiding for so many years, and that's the reason. Is like, hey, we're here, we're queer, we're proud. I get that, but we don't need the naked guy. I don't need to see you in ass chaps. Nobody needs to see that. I don't want to see a heterosexual pride parade where they're all naked and running around down the street. I don't want to see it in anybody. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. I just don't want to see a bunch of naked people being vulgar in the street.
Not only that, I mean, the sadomasochism, I mean, the bondage, the fetish crap, and then you see these parades and you see children there, and I'm thinking, this goes far beyond pride. This goes way beyond pride, and that's actually, in my opinion, it's going to hurt the movement when more and more of these people continue to infest themselves in these parades, and they just give it a bad taste for the whole thing. I don't like it. I think it's vulgar, and it has no place in the pride.
It all comes down to it's not just within the transgender kids and the sexualization of kids. It's sexualization of kids in either way, heterosexual, gay, whatever. It's sexualization completely of children that I see in Hollywood and in the industry that it just really disturbs me as a father. That there should be, I never like beauty pageants for girls, like young girls, like the John Bonet thing. I always thought that was creepy and weird, and people shouldn't do that with their kids. We shouldn't try to sexualize them at a young age, no matter what. And that's what I see happen in society.
We're moving, I think, to too far, I think, and I think we have to be careful. And I know a parent who actually, the child said that they were transgender. They believe they were born the opposite sex. And at the age of 9 years old, they're wanting to have a sex change operation. I'm thinking that's too damn early. That's too young.
Yeah.
I mean, let's have the child mature a little bit. And because once that's done, some of these operations cannot be redone. I mean, you just can't.
Yeah.
So let's be careful. We have to be passionate.
I wanted a mohawk. I wanted to look like Mr. T when I was a kid, and thank God my mom didn't let me.
Yeah, we have to be careful. We have to be careful of that stuff.
Yeah, I see a lot of things in society that. Like I said, I'm not Christian. I'm agnostic, but I'm spiritual. But I just see that I'm not the conservative Republican guy, But I see a lot of things going on in society, and I'm like, hold on, slow down, people. We don't have to go this far crazy, with this stuff.
I agree.
I
agree.
And to me, it just gives more fuel to the fire to the people that are the really crazy right wing, people that are spreading hate. It gives them more fuel, to their cause that I don't agree with either. So like you said, I think it's bad in the overall end, and just society scares me, and I do feel like there is some kind of evil force pushing us forward. We're only 5 minutes left, so this is a big question to get into. But do you believe in the whole? I mean, I don't know how your version of the Catholic religion looks at like Revelations and the end times and the Antichrist. Do you believe that is something that's going to happen, or we're moving towards it?
Well, I think at the end of times will be through man. Man has a reputation of destroying things, and I think with nuclear weapons and with the advancement of nuclear weapons, and I think eventually it's going to get into the wrong hands. I think that will absolutely happen. With the selling of nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, look, all it takes is radiant chemical weapons. But I have a family member who's in intelligence in the Army, and I can tell you that all it takes is one EMP, with chemical weapons inside that. In other words, they'd have, or even a drone, and they explode it within the area, and then you have chemical weapons being spread out in a certain region. That could be absolutely catastrophic.
Or so, you mentioned drones. We make our own destruction by making artificial intelligence and the Terminator scenario.
That's a whole different. That's a whole scary. I'd say the whole artificial intelligence. We got to get a hand on that, because if you think about it right now, and this is the scary part about this, if the United States had a massive EMP, and the grid was completely fried, we would be up the creek without a paddle. You couldn't get money.
Well, just look at New York. New York just had they had the power outage, and look how quickly people freak out about that.
That would be terrible. That would be terrible, knowing that there's no electricity. You couldn't get the money from your bank. You couldn't get anything. That to me, I think will happen prior to a nuclear arsenal. I really do believe that the grid, we are absolutely at high risk for EMP.
I've always said that too. I've always believed that's one of the biggest dangers that we face is an EMP attack. The exploding a nuclear weapon in the upper atmosphere, knocking everything out, because we'll eat each other alive. We will just do it to ourselves.
It would be quite terrible. That would be quite terrible.
Yeah. There was a show called Revolution that came out, or something like that. Was it Revolution? No, something like that. Where they lost, these nanonites took out the power. Nobody had power anymore, and somehow societies, they all people came together, and people were fighting. Of course, there was wars and all this stuff. I'm like, that wouldn't happen. We'd all be dead. Everybody would kill each other. We would fall apart. We would literally fall apart.
It would be devastating, because, of course, when you have EMP, your vehicles don't run. Everything is electronic. The planes don't go. We're in trouble. So I think that is what I am more concerned about than a nuclear warfare.
I almost, a nuke at least would be gone. It'd be done. But the EMP strike would be a slow, painful death to this country, because we would literally eat ourselves from the inside out.
And that's why we should all convert to the Amish.
Yeah, they'll be the ones doing good. Basically, they know how to already do it. But yeah, we're so dependent on electronic. That's the other thing is, do you believe there's things? What scares me is they talk about 5G technology. The 5G's coming and what it's going to do to us. Do you believe there's electronics and electronic manipulation that could make demonic infestation easier?
I certainly think that any type of demonic activity or demonic will use anything in its power to use to manipulate or cause havoc in our lives. So with any type of technology or portals or anything that we use, I think it's going to manipulate those things. It will constantly try to manipulate to cause problems within our lives. There's no doubt in my mind about that. We as a society, we go so fast. And it's all about the meism. Me. I got to get mine. We have to slow down. And as a society, just remember to help one another and to stop. And then when someone is really hurting, to actually slow it down and rally for that person and help the individual. I think we kind of gotten away from that with technology. And we're talking technology and artificial intelligence. I mean, how many people would actually think that their Alexa would be listening in on the conversations, or their Google, whatever that Google thing is, but they're listening. I mean, that to me is such an invasion of privacy, and it's a manipulation of technology, and that'll continue. That will certainly continue. It's not going to go away.
Oh, now they're talking about people, marrying the robots. So, but that's it. We're at the end of the show. I say we could keep on talking all night about this. Thank you so much, Bishop Long, for being on the show tonight. Again, give out that the address for your paranormal classes again.
Yeah, www.paranormalcourse.com.
www.paranormalcourse.com. Check it out. It helps out a good cause, people, and you get education.
That's right. And if they want to make a direct donation to the ministry, they can just go to bishopjameslong.com, and then they can just donate to either the homeless ministry or the single moms ministry. When they put donate, they just push that and put it in the notes section.
Well, thank you again, Bishop Long. I would love to have you on again because there's definitely more we could talk about. That's it for the shows, guys. We will be back next Sunday for ITC night. Our guests had to reschedule, so we'll have open lines. Call in, see if the spirits want to talk to you. Hopefully good spirits, right? All right, guys, we will be back. Same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Central, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific time. We'll see you then, same time, same bad channel. And don't forget our Patreon page. Go check it out, Paranormal Soup. Donate $2 a month, and you'll get exclusive access to our podcast we're going to be putting up on there. There's one already, and a new one's going to be coming out in the next week. All right, guys, see you next week. Have a great night.